Welcome back. Love Boat Project, episode 43, now featuring sound effects.
2025 gives us a boat horn.
New year, new us. So
That's it. Technology.
you're never getting a theme song, guys. That's it.
Mhm.
You're getting
That's
that
it.
horn. Now,
Hum it to
now you know.
yourself. Hmm.
I am Mike Robertson, along with Mike Taylor. Mike, I am on Dayquil, and I am definitely not as medded up as Laura Akers was in this episode. So,
And hungry for more. Jeez.
I did not think when we started doing this that I would have to turn on the captions so I could get the correct spelling of diazepam so I could look it up.
I've never seen, you see those movies, or I'm sorry, that show, like where people are addicted to different things. I can't remember the name of this was the fastest episode of that show. She went through every stage of addiction, like withdrawal, super sweaty, and then completely, oh, hello. Next day, hello, I'm fine. Wait.
Well,
you were sweaty and tripping.
Last week we had Raymond Burr, who apparently has been drinking nonstop for 40 years.
Yeah.
So 24 hours, and he's not even like sweating or anything.
This lady.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That was interesting. But that was one of the many things that we will be talking about on season 2. Now, I have it as episode 18. I know you have it as episode 20 because of the two-parters. So
yeah, I viewed, because it looks like and it's one of those, depends who you ask, because it looks like they listed 18, 19 as part 1 and part 2 respectfully. Right. And then
that matches up with what IMDb has. So yeah, I think, you know what, it's just like Old Testament, New Testament, or King James version. So we'll
Ezekiel
just know, listeners, when you're trying to find it to watch this awesome episode along with us, just look for the one that has the titles Best of Friends, Aftermath, Dreamboat.
Dreamboat, indeed.
Original air date of this sucker, February 10th, 1979. Is it about Valentine's Day? No, it's not.
Nope, it's not. It's not. And Liberace's Valentine's special was on last week.
That's right.
Clear the air.
Yeah, they got ahead on the Valentine's Day programming, because, as we will see here in a minute, not a lot of romance in the air with these shows. But
maybe they're waiting. Maybe it's a big, like, Valentine's night full of,
I mean,
TV.
You know what's funny? And we talked about it at Christmas. And I don't know that we would have any other holiday episodes in season 2. We're kind of past. If we don't get a Valentine's Day, that's probably it. You're not gonna get like an Easter episode, or
no.
I guess they could smash a 4th of July episode in or something. But like, we don't get as many in general holiday themed programs as I just remember growing up. So maybe that didn't start until the 80s.
I think it depends on the show too, because I think an easy backdrop for a 20-some minute sitcom, easy to pepper in some Valentine's Day, that sort of thing, instead of having this 46-minute block of TV. Like, okay, I need every Easter cruise story, please.
Yes.
So I'm with you. I think maybe there's a mention, but I can't see them doing any other holiday. Just visually, it doesn't make sense.
It surprises me, because if I was running this show, and I have to pump out 70 storylines in a season, if you count,
those are easy, right?
Two-parters, those are layups, right? Just give me something.
It's called the damn Love Boat. You would think that there'd be some sort of special Valentine's cruise. I mean, they had the computer dating machine.
I was gonna say, maybe Valentine's Day has been banned after. Did Frankie Avalon went to prison after that, right? Like,
they spent the budget for Valentine's Day for the next 20 years on that machine,
on that computer,
and we saw how that worked out.
Plus, there's a class action lawsuit from the passengers on.
Oh yeah, and I think it fell on somebody. That's the other thing. So
off the table, right?
Lots of litigation. People were upset at who they got, so they tipped it.
I have 2 synopsises for tonight.
Ooh.
For the Love Boat, Meryl gets a lucrative job offer on a superliner.
Superliner.
Yep, common phrase. Doc's former mentor, Art, now a bitter amputee traveling with his guilt-ridden wife, Laura.
And a whole bag full of left gloves.
And here is an egregious summary. College friends Carol and Gwen both fall for passenger Paul Dunbar. That is just
But that's
not even
that's not at all what
not even
happened. No, there's much more. It was much odder than that. But yeah,
Oh, it was very odd from
this
Jump Street. And odd
weird. No,
doesn't mean good.
it did. No, not good at all. Just yeah.
But I also have a synopsis of tonight's episode of Bricker.
Oh, let's
Adam's
do it.
former mentor arrives on the boat, but he's a changed man in more ways than one. Can the boy wonder help his colleague with a much needed hand?
Get it?
Plus, the pills are a poppin' for Laura. Will Bricker and his team be able to provide the right prescription to help her prevent self-destruction? Tonight on Bricker, followed by an all-new Dr. Barnes Night Surgeon.
I do love Dr. Barnes Night Surgeon. I will say on this episode of Bricker, he really was a central part in every single storyline this week.
Bricker?
No. Wait. 2 of the 3. Sorry, 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3. The captain one.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, it really was a Bricker.
Bernie Capel must have heard us giving him a little crap for reading some lines off a card last week.
Not this week.
Because this week it was, hey, do you guys like dramatic stares to end a scene? Because that's what you're going to get. So.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a big old dose of not standing up for myself. But that's okay. That's all right.
This was not as abrupt an episode of Bricker as the initial episode of Bricker. That came out of nowhere. I kind of saw this one coming a little bit. But it really did get centralized in that one act for the most part. So, love Bricker.
Love him.
And really, if not for that, I don't know really what else we had this week. But
yeah, so what else was a bit of the glue holding this whole episode together this week? I thought.
Yeah, brick glue.
Bricker glue.
What else was on February 10th, 1979? You ask. Well, on NBC at 8 p.m., it is the debut episode of BJ and the Bear.
Oh man, BJ McKay and his best friend Bear. I love
Now, weirdly, in the synopsis I pulled, the bear is never mentioned, but
he was the whole point. He was the monkey. He was a monkey named Bear.
Billy Joe McKay, a freewheeling trucker, travels to Oral County.
Say that again.
Where he runs afoul with a past enemies and an unscrupulous sheriff.
What's the name of the county?
Orly. O-R-L-Y.
So they're going to mention the actual county, but they're not going to mention
he's got a monkey in the truck.
His simian co-star that's in the truck with him.
Yeah. My guess is if you looked at the TV guide, there was the picture of the monkey with Greg Evigan, but
it was the bear. I mean, it was in the title.
Yeah.
Why are they underselling the fact that there's a chimp in the truck? I don't.
Weird. But make sure we get the unscrupulous sheriff, who I think was Claude Akins.
Of course it was. He was picking and not grinning. That's what he was doing.
That was an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, I remember that show when it was on. That could go an hour and a half.
Which then followed with an hour and a half Rockford Files. A Brooklyn mobster is released from prison, and guess who he blamed for getting pinched? Jim Rockford.
Of course.
So he's out for revenge. Jim. I intended to look up who the mobster was. I did not. Apologies to all you Rockford Files people. Check out the Rockford Files project.
Rockford Files. The RFP.
The fact that it's an hour and a half makes me think it was probably a good mobster. So maybe it was Al Neary.
Something. Or maybe the monkey was the mobster.
Oh. The winner of this week.
Uh-oh.
It's a TV movie on CBS.
Excellent. I love TV movies.
This might be the best title we've ever had.
Okay.
Flatbed Annie and Sweetie Pie, Lady Truckers.
It's the name of my new band. Wow, that's a great name for a.
All right, so I
What is was
pieced
it?
the
Was it Tyne?
synopsis.
Was it Tyne Daly?
Hold on, we'll get
Like
to it.
who? Who is
I
it?
I pieced this synopsis together from a couple different things,
Olympia
but
Dukakis. Come on.
after Sweetie Pie's husband gets wounded in a shootout, she has to work to make payments on the rig that he owns. It got into some trucking terms I wasn't quite sure, but it sounds like Sweetie Pie, Mr. Sweetie Pie, had just bought this truck and now they got to make the payments.
I bet you there's not like a montage of her trying to figure out how to drive it.
Well, here's the thing. Old Flatbed Annie is, I guess, a distant, like, remote friend of Mr. Sweetie Pie, and so she volunteers to help. Here's the problem. Flatbed Annie's a trucker with no truck, Mike.
Oh, so it's
So,
not. It's not. She has the skills. She
right.
just doesn't have the tools.
And the other
He's got
person,
the tools.
exactly.
It's
You
a.
got chocolate
You
in
know what
my
it's.
peanut butter. Yep.
You know what it sounds like. Sounds like this should be called the gift of the Magi on 18 wheels.
Here's the twist. So you're just thinking, okay, it's going to be a lot of that.
Sure.
Turns out there's cocaine hidden in the truck.
Oh no. Oh no.
And the
Maybe
bad
that's why
guys
she
are
was
looking.
so eager. She was like, "I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it."
yeah. The bad guys are looking for it. Other people are looking for it. What's going to happen?
This is a
Uh,
drama or a comedy?
I think probably both.
Yeah, I would think
Well,
I don't know
based
where
on
it
who the
is.
leads are, I'm going to go with more
Okay.
comedy.
Okay.
The leads were Flatbed Annie was played by one of my favorites, Annie Potts,
Okay. Gotta love Annie Potts.
who I
Okay.
guess possibly could end
Young.
up on here at the end.
I mean,
Ghostbusters and Designing Women was
Designing
like
Women was a
84,
big thing.
85. We
Yeah,
might have
I
an
love
Annie
Annie
Potts shot
Potts.
at the end there.
We could. She might be too big.
So maybe we get her early. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
Sweetie Pie was played by Kim Darby. And I
Why
was
do I
like,
know that name?
why do I know that name? Kim Darby was on the boat last week. That's Wendy.
Oh,
Yeah.
dumb as a box of rocks, Wendy, whose
Yeah.
storyline was ended in 5 minutes and 16 seconds into the
Yeah.
episode.
So
Who could
so I
forget?
assume Mr. Sweetie Pie is old Mort / Tom. So
Oh, with his dry.
they
Tom's
went right
back.
from they went right from the boat. He got shot. So
Oh, poor Tom. There's a lot going on, that poor guy.
yeah. The tagline was a little disappointing, but you want to take a guess?
Oh boy, the tagline.
It's pretty convoluted.
Yeah, hit me with it because I could see it going a bunch of different ways.
When two women, 18 wheels, and 16 gears are rolling,
Oh shit.
move over.
Move over because
Flatbed.
Annie Potts has never driven a tractor trailer before.
Right.
Look out.
Well, no, she knows how to drive it. She just doesn't
I'm
have it.
sorry. She just
Wendy doesn't know how to drive
Wendy doesn't know how to drive it.
Come on,
Okay.
man. You're going to get Flatbed Annie and Sweetie Pie, Lady Truckers Project pissed at us. So.
Well, are those just their CB handles? Or is that their,
Well,
on the certificate?
First of all, that means 2 of the 3 networks were showing truck-related shows tonight.
Yeah, something must be. That's weird.
And then we got a boat.
They're like, we can't. BJ's on tonight. Oh, quick, Annie.
Quick, snap this together.
Quickly, 16 gears, 18 wheels, something, something. All right, come on, let's go. And a monkey.
Room. Look at the credits for this week. Small cast.
Very
and there's
small.
definitely an egregious ad to the portals this week, but
Richard, she stole that portal, sir. She stole that portal.
Egregious. It's like a reverse Kearns. We're actually gonna need a name for that.
Yeah, she did not do anything.
Richard Anderson plays Dr. Art Akers. He was bringing it this week. He was basically like a super villain for a lot of this one.
A-hole. Dr. Art A-hole.
We talked about Richard Anderson a few weeks ago. You may remember he was in Murder by Natural Causes, which was Hal Holbrook as the magician.
Well, I could see Hal Holbrook being a magician, as Richard Anderson only has one arm. I mean, what kind of magic trick are you going to do with one hand?
Well, I think when we
Ooh.
talked about that a few weeks ago, I assumed Richard Anderson, not knowing him, was the boyfriend that was supposed to scare Hal Holbrook to death, but I think he was the cop who was pursuing Barry Bostwick, who was the boyfriend.
Oh.
So that one's going on the Patreon.
He looked a
This one,
lot. I know it's not him, but he looked a lot like Oscar from the Six
the
Million Dollar
Grouch.
Man.
Oh,
No, not the Grouch. He worked with Steve, not that Steve Austin, the first Steve Austin,
gotcha.
but it's who he reminded me of,
Steve
but it's not
Williams.
him.
Um, I'm going to skip the next person and we'll talk about her at the end.
Yeah,
Hans
please.
Kronried
I mean
plays
Gruber.
Carl Schmidt. Mike, you spent a lot of time
Mm.
in Germany. What part of Germany do you think Hans Kronried is from?
Oh, this guy's definitely a Cologne resident. You can just tell the way he carries himself.
Yeah, I mean, I trust your judgment on accents and stuff, but actually, it turns out he's from the Baltimore part of Germany.
Oh,
He's from Baltimore,
small
Maryland.
neighborhood in
Yeah.
Cologne named Baltimore. Okay.
Uh, he actually did a lot of voiceover stuff, and he was on a lot of game shows. And it seems like
What,
he had a lot
random
of
German? Like, how do they?
well, it's interesting. He had a lot of credits for like the second level Dr. Seuss cartoons. I think he was in like
Interesting.
the Horton Hears a Who cartoon and things like that. So it's like we can't get Boris Karloff obviously for these
We get
secondary
Hans
titles. We
Conried.
can get Hans Conried. So that's what they did.
Great.
Carol Lindley plays Carol Gilmore. I always feel like when the character has the same name as the actress, that's an indication on how good they are. So
Yeah.
nothing big with her. This is her only boat appearance.
She didn't even look familiar. Like the name
The
doesn't ring a
IMDb
bell. The face.
synopsis. Yeah, the
Yeah.
IMDb synopsis is one of those ones that we've seen a few times, usually with older stars, but it's kind of written like, here are all the credits, and then they try to explain away a long lull with like Hollywood just didn't appreciate the talent that she had or all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, one of those.
she was. This was a lot of nobodies, not nobodies, but like
Not big stars by
two
any
of the
means.
three people in that storyline. I had no idea who they were. So,
I thought in
which
a
is
way, I think it's almost better because then you don't have the
yeah.
like the Bob Denver thing where he just disappeared for
Well,
90 minutes.
that was also age related
That
problems
was
too.
weird. Yeah.
Diana Mulder plays the aforementioned Laura Akers. This is her only Love Boat episode. How old do you think she was at the time of this recording?
Ooh, I bet you she was a lot younger than we think she was
They
because
haven't
they
done
were
this in a
really
long. They
they
haven't
were
done
trying
this
to
in a long
bring her
time.
they're trying to
Yeah.
bring her up to Richard Anderson's age. I would bet she's in her late 20s.
Oh no, she's
Maybe
40. She's 40.
boy, I'm 0 for 2 on these morning recordings.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know anything
will.
about Germany
I will.
now. I can't read ages.
I will say that they did. We haven't seen this in a while, where they aged up
Mm-mm.
the woman. She's 12 years younger in real life than Richard Anderson, but I saw pictures of her from McLeod, which is like her big thing, and then she was in
Yeah.
L.A. Law, and apparently she was also the first Doctor in Star Trek: Next Generation. So she's been in a lot of stuff,
Oh, okay. I know her then.
but
Okay, that makes sense. I
but
remember
they
her now.
definitely made her appear older.
Much older. Yeah.
And maybe that's the rigors of drug addiction too, right?
Well, also the fact that Richard Anderson's 52 in this,
Yeah.
boy, do I feel odd because if that guy's only a year older than me, I don't know. I'm either really far behind or the 70s were just a very different time and place for
No, but I
51 year
mean,
old.
you haven't, you weren't in a traumatic accident either.
I should have wore a glove today. That's what I
You
should
don't.
have done.
I was
It
looking
was
for
the
a plastic
easiest.
arm.
It was the easiest
Easiest
one glove.
costume.
Just one
Yeah.
glove.
Um, Ben Murphy plays the sexy Paul Dunbar, I guess.
Piece of garbage,
Um,
Paul Dunbar.
didn't he? I didn't know him from anything, but he has the face of someone who was in a lot of like frontier shows.
Yeah.
Can you see him
He's
under a
got
big
like
hat or something?
that big smile of his. Yeah, it's just I
Yeah.
feel like I've seen him or
Right.
I feel like I should have seen him.
Um, couple interesting notes. You actually, if you were watching TV on February 10th, 1979, watching The Love Boat, you would see him after The Love Boat on Fantasy Island, which we never get.
Ooh, we doubled up.
Yeah, Ben Murphy, no space. He is playing a boxer who is short on time, as they say in the thing, and he wants to be an Olympic champion in 1980. Which, sorry, buddy, America didn't go in 1980. So
Oh, I got your hopes up.
Fantasy Island,
Oh,
indeed.
the one thing keeping me alive.
Yeah,
I wonder if he gets like a special bonus from ABC if you get the double.
I always thought they tried to spread that out.
I don't know. I
It's
think it'd be kind
interesting.
of cool,
It's like a
but
lot of Ben Murphy if you're watching TV on Saturday.
lots of Mr. Murphy this evening.
This is the first of his 5 appearances on the boat. His
I can see
final
that.
appearance, the Hulk Hogan episode.
He'd had enough after that. He was like, "This is where I draw the line."
The show basically had enough after that. He is not involved in the wrestling storyline.
He's
in
not
the
a
Hulk
worker.
Hogan.
No,
No, he's not a worker. I think
Ben
he's a
Murphy
writer.
under a mask, guys.
Donna Pescow as Gwen Winters. We've been circling around her show for a while, so I actually finally took the opportunity to get some research on it. First of 5 episodes for her. She will be back in season 9 on a different episode. That episode actually features a character named Rockstar Crazy Joe Flash. So
Oh, I can't wait for that one. Just to know
I'll
that
give you
guy.
all episode to figure out who plays Rockstar Crazy Joe Flash. It is a 80s television actor, co-star from a comedy. I'll give you all episode and we will have that answer at the end of the show.
Okay.
Donna Pescow was in Saturday Night Fever, which was her big break. She then ended up on Angie, which I think
Why
I
do
have
I know
mentioned
that?
before because I
Yeah.
thought it was related to Philadelphia. So I did a little more digging. The synopsis of Angie is that she's a waitress in a, quote, downtown diner, which is
Okay.
not a thing in Philadelphia. For those who don't know, it's Center City. But she works at the diner, and her regular customer is Robert Hayes, former star of The Love Boat. And they start talking. They spark up a romance. They get married. They get married like 3 episodes in, so it seems like it's pretty fast.
Okay.
After they've gotten married, Robert Hayes reveals that he's like a bazillionaire. So, from what I could tell, he buys the diner, and now she runs the diner. But she's also like living in a penthouse apartment and decorating that. So it's like a real rags to riches story.
Wow.
Angie Project.
Okay.
It also has a very long theme song, apparently. So there you go. That's all I know about Angie.
All right.
Donna Pescow was also on Out of This World. I don't know if you remember that show.
I remember the name. I remember that show. I remember the name of it.
Yeah, she was the mom of the teenager whose father was an alien and was voiced by Burt Reynolds. I think that was the conceit of that. But
okay.
Anyway,
all right.
You want to talk about Joyce Brothers?
I don't understand it. I don't understand. She literally had 3 sentences, maybe 4.
20 seconds. Yeah.
Was she such a big deal that people were like, "Ooh, look who it is. It's Mrs. Magwitch." Like, I don't.
And it's weird too because it rolls off like a cameo, right? But you don't put cameo people in the opening credits.
No, that's like in the middle. It's like an Easter egg the way you do it.
Right. Like I
But
should be
this was
shocked.
just.
That was weird.
She might as well showed up and said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Joyce Brothers," spelled. She did not deserve a portal, which again is she the anti-Kearns.
Yeah, reverse Kearns. We need a term for that. It is by far the least work ever done by a portal person.
But I don't know, like the thing that got me is, okay, if it's not based on what she did in the show, like was she a big enough star to have, I mean, God forbid, like Ann Landers shows up. Can we expect the same kind of treatment? I don't understand.
It was weird. It was weird, and when it was weird that she was on.
Yeah.
I didn't really know. I don't really know a lot about Joyce Brothers. Like, she's just always been. I
I
assumed
don't
it was like a
either.
Dr. Ruth situation, but she's in a lot of stuff, usually as herself. So I almost wonder if she was like Aaron Spelling's doctor or something.
Yeah, I don't know what she's a doctor of.
Yeah, cameos.
That's funny.
The Porter Report didn't have a lot. Richard Anderson smiled a lot, and I
Oh,
think
he
that was
loved it
like because he was like, "I'm going to smile now because I'm not going to
because
smile
I'm
for
going to
the
be
rest of
such
the
a
thing."
freaking miserable prick for the next 44 minutes. Yeah.
And Carol Lindley does the Horseshack spin. So
I hate that spin. Unless you're Horseshack, don't do the Horseshack spin, sir. Ma'am. Sorry.
that's at least 3 or 4 like in the last couple months. So
Well, because they're like,
people are
well, Horseshack did this.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'll give that a try.
Oh, you mean the Great Briar?
You have to whisper his name so he doesn't show up.
Anything before you say it 3 times he shows up. So.
I'm telling you, don't even whisper it. He'll be there with either a dove or a bunny.
Or the ghost of his dead brother. Anything before we get on?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right, let's
ready.
get to it. We start with Doc directing boarding passengers for some reason, because that's why he went to medical school. And after he kind of shows these 2 people the way, he notices that Julie is talking to Art and Laura Akers.
Can I say something here?
Yeah.
The first thing I notice here, Mike, when we get on this, last week and in other episodes, we've talked about kind of how ridiculous the uniform looks when they wear the white, like the all white with the shorts and the socks.
Yep.
You see here, you see Bricker, you see the other I don't say cast members, crew members in black pants.
Yep. Long
How
sleeve.
much more professional do they look?
So much better
in comparison to the white shorts. It's such an awful look, and I'm like, just wear the pants.
And again, we see so many passengers who are not wearing shorts, right? Not everybody,
right?
But it's like did they not have fabric to breeze in 1979? But I agree, it looks so much better. It's a good look.
It is a good look. It is a good look, and it's just that's all it took, just a little bit. Yeah.
Well, again, that feels like a Stewing decision. He was like, "You got these calves. I got to flash them, baby." So
listen, if your thighs were as milky as mine, you'd want to show them off too, people.
You don't think the Loreline had that on their list of pros, right?
They were like, number 1, guy with great gams. Number 1.
That's why he didn't take the job. No shorts.
Yep. No short policy.
Turns out that Dr. Akers is surprised to see Adam. He is a former colleague, I would say even mentor of Adam's. And he refers to him as the, quote, boy wonder.
It's a great nickname, I guess.
Dick Grayson himself.
Yeah.
Laura gives a bit of a cold fish greeting. First of many from her.
Because she's all whacked out, Mike.
Oh, you think she's whacked out already, or you think she's jonesing?
She's always whacked out.
Yeah. The doctor, Dr. Bricker, I should have to clarify a little bit, talks about the Akers' famous chili and asks if he's still practicing as the chief surgeon at City Hospital. Which, come on, man.
It's just the generic. I love the chili answer. And he's like, yeah, you can have indigestion for eternity.
This guy's a real jokester.
And he had no inflection in his voice. His voice was like, I'm here. I lost my arm. I have a lot of gloves. Like he's borderline robotic.
Well, he's part machine now.
That's true.
Spoiler, Dr. Akers is not practicing anymore because he lost his left arm in an auto accident. He taps his prosthetic. Had a funny joke that what good is a doctor who can't golf? But Adam's kind of taken aback by this. He was such a wonderful surgeon, to fall to such a tragedy bothers Mr. Bricker, but Akers, seems pretty good about it, and they agree to catch up later.
I just want to make a comment about people with one arm real quick, since I never have this opportunity to. So in Huntsville, Alabama, at the Madison Square Mall, you had people that were mall walkers, right? I used to work there. I worked in department store. So before the mall would open, these people would be mall walkers, right? And then the legend was that this very famous mall walker, had a fake arm, right? So she always had like a sweatshirt on. You could never tell. And one day I caught up with her. She was right in front of me. She was walking the mall at a pace. I picked up my pace to try to keep up with her in order to determine whether or not her arm or hand or something was fake. And it was. And she actually had rings painted on like the hand setter. She didn't do the Acres glove look. She did the paint some jewelry on it look.
That's
So
just classy.
it was true. She did have a fake arm.
This actually predates by a year Luke Skywalker's hand. So
That's where they stole it from, Mike.
yeah, exactly. Who knew? George Lucas, huge Love Boat guy.
Huge.
The Acres say their goodbyes. Laura kind of zombies off. So, Doc tells Julie, what a brilliant surgeon he was. He saw him perform 2 emergency surgeries at the same time, which does not seem safe.
If he can do that, he can't do one with one arm.
That's a good point. That's a good
And
point.
it's not like it's not as dominant because I don't think they allowed you legally to be left-handed in the 70s. So I mean, it's his dominant hand.
Well, I think we pointed out before. We are both married to lefties, and I wouldn't want them operating on me with 2 hands.
No,
either
no,
way.
no. So nothing was made for left-handed people. So thank God, by grace of God.
Julie makes a good point, saying that Akers actually seems like he's well adjusted, but she says it in a bit of a Julie way.
Yeah, it's weird. There's always a
Calm
little
down.
tone, a
Calm down,
little
Julie.
dash of weird in there. Yeah,
I
thanks,
mean,
Julie.
he's right in her wheelhouse of age. And he's
Oh,
married.
you're married and you have one arm? Because secretly that's on her list.
But then she also gets back into that boy wonder thing about Doc. So Julie
Julie's
was
got the
into
fever,
this
man.
story. She's into this story. She's still fired up from Joey last week.
Oh,
so
she's
she's
still
got
going
it.
to her room and dancing, working on her exhibition skills. Awful.
2 people, a blonde woman
Here we
and a
go.
man with unfortunate hair, run into each other in the lobby. Just I rewound it like 5 times to kind of try to figure out what happened. She's looking for her makeup, and the gentleman just kind of like, where are you going? Where are you going
I
that
wonder if
fast?
I wonder if that's like an approach. When I go out to bars, I look for women looking at their makeup, and I kind of hit them with the shoulder.
I mean, you've been to bars with me. I can't see, so a lot of times I do that by accident. But I never pick somebody up when I'm doing that.
Well, it's funny. So I can see, but I can't hear. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll be able to see it. I just won't be able to hear it.
What a combination.
I know.
This is why we're not doing live shows.
Nope. We need a whole team.
As I said, the blonde says that she was looking for her makeup, and before she could even get those words out of her mouth, the gentleman is like, "Makeup? How can you improve on perfection?"
Oh.
And this is like cruise ship Casanova level early and often,
just
right?
on the ship. I mean, just on the ship.
Just they've been talking for 5 seconds. Even the Casanova, whatever
He
his
took
name
a breath.
was,
Like he gulped for air.
She's like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." And then he's like, "Hold on, I got more. Do you like the moon?"
This guy with the moon.
She's like, "I guess." He's like, "Well, I'm an expert in the moon. Why don't you meet me 11 o'clock under it?" She, demurs for a second. She's like, "I got to think about it." And then he flashes this like handsome boy look. Like, it was weird.
She's like, let me think. Okay. Like, he's going to murder you, right? You just met him. He claims to be a moon expert. Stop it.
But he's
And
not.
she's
They
just
never
so
actually
dumb as a
explain what
rock.
he does.
Sure, I'd love to. Oh, I had time to think. Oh boy, Carol Gilmore.
And maybe we
Jesus.
should have had a female opinion on this, but Ben Murphy didn't strike me as this devastatingly handsome man that is just knocking these women over with his good looks, right?
If his best line is "Meet me at 11, I'm a moon expert," I don't think he's like he's
Moon
so he looks so friendly, but he's just dumb. Like there's just
Yeah,
nothing there.
yeah.
All
But
right.
the bottom line is this gentleman comes in hot. This is clearly him hitting on women. So I assume we're gonna be seeing him hitting
Just
on women
swings.
the whole
Yeah,
episode. Yeah.
makes sense.
The blonde woman, um, nameless blonde woman, walks over to Julie and asks her if Gwen Winters has checked in yet. And if she hasn't, could Julie have her give her a call, the blonde woman, when she arrives? And Julie's like, sure, but how about you give us a name? You've been in the show for like 5 minutes. And it turns out her name is Carol Gilmore. She starts to give the backstory of how Carol and Gwen are old college friends and they're traveling together. And I guess Gwen's going to bring her fiance on the boat. Did you? I don't know if I was paying enough attention to figure it out, but I guess I knew there were only so many cast members. So.
Oh yeah. When I read the the write up, I could see what was going to happen. But in the sort of write up, it explained that they were both in love with the same guy. So at this point, I'm a little confused.
Right.
I figured out what was happening, and I just assumed that Carol was going to fall in love with him. But that's
Right.
not at all what
Yeah.
happened.
Like
So I was a little confused at this point.
Like if they had stretched out the initial meeting a little longer, maybe that would have.
Yeah.
But then I guess you can't redeem the guy.
Yeah, but what kind of person is going to say to a person who's getting engaged, like, "Oh, I think I met somebody"? What you had a literally a 48-second conversation with somebody who now you think you met somebody. Like you said, he was a moon expert. Well, you are.
and body checked you. Like,
Yeah. Hey, Carol, can I sell you this piece of this bridge? Yeah. You send me $300 a month. She's just, whew. All right. Not
Carol asks the very logical question to Gwen of, where's your fiance?
Great question, Carol. Great question.
This is a couple times we've seen this. Your boy, Dr. Todd, and his wife didn't show up at the same time. And as we've talked about, like we have traveled with our spouses in situations where you meet at a spot.
Right.
But if we're actually going on the same vessel,
like I'm going to walk on the plane with you.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah. That is weird. Even I get like, even if you're not married, like why wouldn't your husband or fiance wait for you outside the boat? Oh, she's going to be here. We'll go on the ship together. Like,
right. Like, did you not drive in together?
Well, that's why probably Carol thought this guy there was nothing to it. Because again, even if a guy is engaged, it's not like we're wearing an engagement ring. So there's no way of telling who this dude, maybe that's something we'll start. Male engagement rings.
Oh, there you go.
They're on the
merch store?
Merch store.
The Paul Dunbar male engagement ring line.
Yeah. So you can Carol Gilmore protection.
That's both ladies think this is going to be a very romantic cruise.
Oh, can't you tell already? Yeah, you can just tell. The vibe is there. Sure.
Love boat, sir.
Love boats.
Gopher runs a copy of the passenger list to the captain.
So stupid.
While a man dressed like the guy from the Avengers with Emma Peel, or the same guy in the Oasis So Sally Can Wait video stands by.
Oh, you mean the chap that looked like a Bond villain? You mean that guy?
Stubing's trying to read the list, but Gopher got marmalade all over it because he was reading it during breakfast or working on it during breakfast. What are you working on? Like,
how much marmalade are you eating? Where it's dripping off where we had napkins? Like, what are you doing? What are you
Paddington style?
What are you doing? Oh.
He then hands Stubing the weather report. So I'm glad 17 episodes after the hurricane, Stubing is now getting weather reports. But there's maple syrup on there. So
of course there is.
Stubing's like, could you not maybe eat breakfast with all my papers?
Good Lord. Can you not dip your pancakes in the weather report next time? Gee whiz.
The man in black hat, Carl Schmidt, turns out,
Herr
has,
Schmidt.
has witnessed this interaction, and he asked Stubing if he's always this informal with his crew. Merrill's like, I'm no Captain Bligh. And then this dude just turns and he's like, do you like your job?
It's so creepy.
And when
I have
Stubing
a
says,
feeling.
I do, why? He's like, because you're not going to have it much
You know,
longer.
I thought at that point this guy was just going to kill Stewing. Like he's going to
He
stab him
walks,
all personal.
he just walks away.
Yeah,
And
and
listen,
not
we give Merrill a lot of crap for being a diva and ridiculous and
absolutely.
everything, but that is an ominous message. So,
Also, this guy looks like he's going on a cruise across the Thames in February. Like this guy does not.
yeah,
He's carrying his own pea soup. Like this guy is not on board with
yeah.
anything having to do with a Mexican cruise. Like
No, he's not sunning it and funning it.
no, he's wearing
What
like
even,
wool sweaters. He has a couple of umbrellas. Like who
I
is this?
think we talked about this in the Inspector episode, but they should have had a scene of him in the background swimming in that suit and the hat. Like,
That would have been good in the pool, like doing laps.
and not acknowledging it.
Mm-mm.
So Stubing is obviously concerned, but no time for that horn. And we get a limited daytime stock footage stretch, which in my mind meant, okay, well, there's not going to be a lot of filler in this episode.
Yeah, I thought so too. It wasn't a long. Was there a ticker tape? Because I don't remember there being a
No,
real.
no
No,
ticker
okay.
tape. It was really just like boat transition scene and then the daytime boat float, but
Mm,
nothing too specific because we had to get back to this Gwen and Carol storyline.
well, I'll tell you what. This episode did fly by. Like I
The
looked up and there was
first
22 minutes
time
left, and then I was like, "Huh?
yeah,
Okay."
the first time I agree. I will say, I think this is the nature of when you're hosting and doing the notes.
Yeah,
Um, the first two acts are almost 30 minutes.
yeah.
You know, the last two acts, especially, I mean, Act 4 is nothing,
There's
but
nothing there. Yeah.
we'll get to it. Gwen finds Carol on the deck. She's sunning, but still no fiance yet.
Where's this guy?
Gwen is apparently usually very conservative, but she's going to marry this fiance just a few months after meeting him. Carol takes this opportunity to talk about the guy that she physically ran into earlier. He may
Moon
not be
expert.
Mr. Right, but he's certainly Mr. Smooth.
That's smooth.
That was smooth.
That's a low bar for the title of Mr. Smooth, I would think. Good
Yeah.
Lord. Just
I feel like Carol's had some bad relationships.
yeah, have some self-esteem, Carol. What are you doing?
Here's the problem with Mr. Smooth. He's coming up onto the deck,
Here you
and
go.
Gwen's like, hey, Paul. That's right. The moon expert is also Gwen's fiance. Who saw that coming?
Shocked at this
My
twist.
initial reaction was that the two of them handled it pretty smoothly, but in a rewatch, they did not handle it smoothly, and Gwen is just kind of dense.
Gwen is just oblivious.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
There are just these long pauses, and Carol's kind of making these like weird, vague phrases about the sun and the moon and all that stuff. And then Paul's like, "Who wants booze?" So,
Marguerite. What's weird is wouldn't you think if Carol is best friends with Gwen, if this dude does this? All right, let me just for a second. Let me be Carol
okay,
Gilmore. All right. You're Gwen.
okay,
All right. I don't know this Paul guy. He comes walking up. I'm going to say to you, that's that guy that was hitting on me yesterday. Boom.
yeah,
Just that quick. How are you going to keep so like her loyalty to the secret is greater than her loyalty to her quote unquote best friend?
yeah.
That's what didn't make any sense.
And if I don't say it immediately when the guy is there, I am definitely saying it
Yes.
literally right after.
Yeah, you don't have to call him out in front of her, but you can
Right.
go, "Hey,
Yeah,
just so you know,"
yeah.
because she never met the guy. Yeah, this is where I was like, Carol Gilmore is a terrible friend. Number
Well, and
one.
especially because I think conservative is probably substituting for naive, right? They didn't want to say naive, but you get the impression that maybe Gwen hasn't been with as many guys as Carol. And
Oh, I see.
so
I
why is
see.
Carol not instinctively protective?
You would think right, that there was a big gap in logic
Yeah.
here. I mean, I just rolled with it, but at the same time, I was like, "This isn't complicated at all. This storyline could be over right now. Like, get out of here, you creep."
Why do women not help each other, Mike?
All they should just ask. All right, moving
Me and
on.
you? Yeah,
You should
we
ask
should, yeah.
us. We should do like an advice show.
Oh,
Only
God.
women can call in, and we'll give out the advice.
We can do it after our reverse Canadian mailbag episode.
That's true. That's true. A lot on her plate.
Gwen asks Carol what she thinks of Paul, and after some more delayed reactions,
Weird delay.
she's just like, I'll get back to you about what I think. And Gwen's like, okay.
That sounds good. I'm Gwen. Gwen.
We are in the Pirates Cove.
Yeah, we are.
Arr.
Where the drinks are good and the sleeves are long.
Well, it took me a second because Sad Stubing's walking in and he kind of looks through this, what I guess is like a net, right? Or a window that looks like a net.
Come on, it's for decoration. It's decoration.
No, it made sense once I realized it was a Pirates Cove, but we're really starting to see everything in the Pirates Cove. So,
and I didn't see a Pirates Cove sign. I jumped to a conclusion like there's nets. It feels piratey. Or it's the Fish Cove.
It is funny because we said it in the first episode that it was in. They really did establish a new set that they're using all the time and made no actual reference to it. So.
And there's there's sort of like a dress code that accompanies, like the waitresses are dressed like pirates.
Yeah.
Isaac's dressed like some sort of weird silk owl. Odd.
Stubing sees Schmidt and decides to take a seat at his pub table. And he gets right down to brass tacks. He's like, hey, what the hell were you talking about? That weird, ominous statement you said.
Was that a threat, sir?
Yeah. And I'll give Schmidt credit. He's like, oh, I can see how that might have come off a little weird, right?
Yeah.
And then he says, but it's, what did he say? It's nothing nefarious. But he says
there's nothing nefarious, I assure you. But like a supervillain would say it.
He says it in his German accent.
Yeah, you've got nothing to worry about, Mr. Bond. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, James.
Where did you get that cat to pet? Yeah.
And if this is the guy that they send out to like talk to people, they really need to like revisit their strategy. Maybe it's like a supervillain themed cruise. Like,
well, it's a super liner,
jobs
but it's
there.
A mediocre HR department.
It's just terrible. This guy's awful. He's in the menacing department. Awful.
Schmidt asks Stubing, if he's ever heard of the Lorelei.
Who hasn't, Mike?
Yeah, it's like asking a quarterback if they've ever heard of the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't even know. You know what, Stubing? Here's a football. I want you to throw the football. Go ahead. Because I don't think you can
name a quarterback.
Yeah, name one quarterback. What is his role on the field? Oh, he's sort of the guy that goes around and cleans the field after. No, Stubing. Big football.
He waxes poetic about this thing. He said if it was a painting, it would be in the loo. Apparently, it's a super liner, the finest ship ever built. This is one hell of a boat, is what they're trying to get over.
I had a quick question. Is this was this finest liner made in Carolina?
Well, no, because didn't we learn that you don't want to have a liner in Carolina because they all crash?
All the coves and the pirates' bays. You can't. That's right. That's right.
I mean, does the German guy recruiting for the captaincy indicate that it's a German boat? Or no?
No. You'd think no. And if it was, there would be something there. No, it's
not a U-boat.
They're probably like, if you ask the writer and be like, well, he's not even German, he's Austrian. It'll be like that. It'll be some weird.
He's from Baltimore.
Yeah, he's from Baltimore. The
right on
little
boat.
Austria. The little Hamburg section.
It's just Wire season 2. Wire season 2 on the ports is actually just about the Lorelei. It's just
about Carl Schmidt and his connections to the street.
I would watch that.
I'd watch it, John.
What if this guy just showed up in the Wire?
He'd be great.
I think it's him. I think it's him. He's guilty. So, we don't even need a wire.
And he's a street level guy. He's not even a big guy. He's
Oh,
the guy sitting on the
no.
thing doing like cat calls. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
So the upshot is that the Lorelai, and I wrote Loreline a lot because my wife binged Gilmore Girls back about 6 months ago, and so I am sticking that. That will mean nothing to you.
I don't even know what that means.
I think the main character is named Lorelai. I don't know why I wrote Loreline. I figured it was like a boat, like a line.
Is she posturing to be the new captain on this luxury liner? And her
Mike,
name is
some would say if you watch the show, she can't be the captain of her own life. It's crazy.
Ack.
They need a captain, and Stubing is on the short list for consideration.
I don't know how he's on any short list.
So
unless it's a short list for donuts at 3 p.m. Who's listing this guy? Come on.
Well, here's what I wanted to ask. So, is Schmidt sitting in the Lorelai HR office and he gets the latest magazine, and he sees, oh my goodness, Captain of the Year, Meryl Stubing, presented by Schneider. Like, is that how he got on there?
That or Carl Schmidt is a subscriber to Milky Thigh Weekly, and he was just, oh, not the captain, not the captain, not the captain, not the captain, captain.
Well, Stubing is floored by this news, but Isaac in the background eavesdropping is like little rascals surprised. He's just like,
they show him so much. Be like, the director's like, make sure that everyone can see that Isaac could hear. Like, no, we got it. We got it.
And we have established in other episodes, Isaac is the ace eavesdropper. He's always hearing stuff. Bartender's ears.
He hears everything. Yeah.
Meryl takes the business card from Schmidt and he just holds it in front of his face for a while. So they didn't even show the card. Like, what was on the card?
Imagine if it was like American,
creepy ass German HR recruiter. So.
Unless it's like an American Psycho thing when he's like, oh, he used an even crisper white that I used. Oh, raised letters. He's just freaking out. Stupid Schmidt.
Just blank. I will kill you in German.
No kidding.
Paul tracks down Carol, saying that they need to talk and imploring her to keep their date under the moon because it's important.
Makes no sense here. This part makes no sense when you finally get the explanation.
None of this makes sense.
None of this makes any
sense. Paul, a terrible tracker because Gwen is right behind him.
Right there. And he waits for her to get close.
Yeah. She's like, hey, and Paul's like, I gotta go. Who needs magazines? So his escape plans are all M's, margaritas, magazines.
I'll say this too. Good point on that about the 2 M's. We spent a lot of time in that store a couple weeks ago.
We did.
I saw not a magazine. I didn't see any baby spoons. I saw pearl necklaces, some postcards.
He came back with all the pearls.
Pearl necklaces.
They were out of magazines.
They're out of magazines. I got this book. Sad book. Yeah, just like they sell everything there apparently.
Carol says that Mr. Smooth ended up being a little rougher than she thought, and Gwen manages to mention how much of a enemy to girls with boyfriends Carol was back in high school. So they are establishing that Carol is like good with guys and experienced, and Gwen's not. They just didn't do it great.
Can we assume that Carol has sort of done this before? Maybe
like
Gwen meets a guy and then, I mean, she's not really stealing him here, but she's not saying anything to her. Like, I feel like, is Carol one of the people that likes the attention so much that she's willing to and has risked her friendship because she likes the attention?
It is. And again, this is to your point. We don't ever really get satisfying conclusions to any of this or answers.
She's a bad friend, though. Yeah,
that's actually more interesting. If they had established that this had kind of happened before, and then Carol can kind of be like, no, this is not the same thing. I understand why you don't believe me, but
right. Turn Carol into the ultimate heel. Because I do think she's a heel at this point.
I think the other problem is, and we've only seen comeuppance one or two times, but like with Dr. Todd or something like that, but they clearly didn't want to have Paul be the heel at the end.
No, which that's
you can't
19, that's
start
70s.
you can't start the way this thing starts and not have him be a heel at the end without more of an explanation than he gives.
But. Well, I mean, his base thing when he's like, let's go look at the moon, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Kind of a weird, aggressive thing there. But but when you find out that's all you need to be like, okay, this guy's an ass, what he's doing. But also, I think what Carol is doing is just as bad as what this guy's doing at this point of the story. Because where's her loyalty lay?
That I agree with. It's not a situation where they've met, you're friends with your wife's fiance or something like that. There's no reason why she shouldn't just call him out immediately.
There's no established link or friendship or anything. I think she just enjoyed the attention. But how long do you wait to tell Gwen? Because the thing is,
too long.
Yeah, like Carol's terrible. Carol Gilmore is a terrible friend.
Paul's back already with like 500 magazines.
5,000 magazines. He would bought one of every one. But nothing covers up guilt like burying your head in random magazines.
We saw the intricate receipt system at that gift shop a couple of weeks ago. You can't purchase things that fast. He stole those magazines.
He did. He's blaming it on Sherry. On what's her name?
Stephanie.
She's gonna get booted.
Stephanie off this jive ass boat.
Stubing's like, I saw her reading those magazines when I wasn't looking. Now they're gone.
Gwen asks about dinner. Carol's like, I gotta go send postcards, and runs the hell out of there.
Oh, so bad.
And now tonight's episode of Bricker. Doc and Akers are strolling on the deck, reminiscing old medical stories and old horny Doc stories, I guess. Akers tells Doc that he was a damn fine with a scalpel and he could have made an excellent surgeon. But Adam's like, nah, general practice was my calling. And then both of them kind of crap on each other's profession for a little bit, or specialty.
If you specialize in one thing, that you're not really learning about the other things that you don't specialize in, Dr. Akers.
Yeah. Very, this starts off as passive aggressive between both of them. It gets worse. Akers doesn't seem impressed by Bricker's current employment situation and makes no bones about the fact that he thinks that way. Quote, you're not exactly on the front lines of medicine. So,
I mean,
well, here's the thing.
Okay. I mean, if I'm Doc, I'm like, I don't remember asking you, Dr. Akers.
Yeah. Here's what I would say.
Yeah.
If you're Dr. Akers and you're the chief surgeon at a hospital, there is a world where other people can step in and help you or take your surgeries. You have a net of some kind.
Sure.
If you're Doc, you're the only guy in town.
That's right.
You got to take everything.
We've seen him perform procedures.
Multiple
deliver babies.
Took a piece out of, what's her name? Gloria?
Thing, because she was,
yeah,
I think Dr. Akers is just
he's an allergist. We saw that.
He's an allergist. He's just drinking a whole. He just can't. He's just unhappy, and he wants everyone to be as unhappy as him.
Doc defends his job, but Akers isn't having it and cuts him off to tell him about getting the most out of life, which is like, all right. I mean, I am like, you can't have.
That's why I'm working on a cruise ship.
Right? Yeah, it can't
like
be
Mumble
both.
McGee, or I think your life is terrible. But shut up.
We get the first of what is like 15 sad Doc stares off into the side. A lot of Bernie Capel.
A lot of Bernie, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. Isaac is filling Julian Gopher in about the Stubing potential new employee, and they seem
this was annoying.
They seem very happy about it, but
like,
not in the way.
Get him off the
right.
Not in a like a I hope he gets it. They were like, let's get him off this ship.
Thank God.
Goodbye.
They decide quickly that they should help convince Schmidt that Stubing is the best again, so they can get him off this boat and hire Bob Crane or whoever is now the next Bob Crane.
What my thing here too is, Mike, is if you're Schmidt, right, and they're like, oh, we've been looking at you for the job, I'm like, we've had a very limited exposure to Meryl Stubing's career, over the past 43 episodes, right? Is Schmidt like, okay, passenger stuck in a room, male dog has puppies, wild chimpanzee on board, like all these crazy, wacky things. And they're like,
Yeah.
we got to have this. Or
Do
just
you think
nothing gets reported.
you know what it is? In the German part of Baltimore, he saw the pilot and he's going to get to episode 2, but he's been busy.
He's a busy guy.
And he's like, I'm sure episode 2 Stubing is the same as episode 1 Stubing. And then when he finally gets to it, when he gets back from this trip and he's like, oh,
like, shit.
Dodged a bullet. I don't have this guy who chased John Ritter around.
Good Lord. Yeah. He's like, what is happening?
Also, Carl Schmidt, listen, our numbers in Baltimore aren't great. I think our numbers in Germany are actually better. But how about you throw the podcast on, buddy? We'll catch you up.
We'll get you. We'll bring you up to speed on all the comings and goings.
I have a couple other names for captain that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
One guy is not available anymore.
Yeah. Let's do Schnitzel. We'll talk about it.
It's going to be German night. How is it not German night?
How is it not German night?
Come on.
Yeah. I don't know how they would just, smashed pork.
How is that not a smash? Like, how is that not one of the things? Like, hey, we got the cook to make your favorite meal, and Stubing recommended it. Why was that not a thing?
And Stubing would wear some lederhosen. He's pretty much wearing it every day. So I don't know. They dropped the ball. That feels like that's a chef move. He was like, "No, I served in World War II. I will never serve German food on this boat."
And now, the acting stylings of Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Oh. Real episode saver here, Dr. JB.
So this lady is telling her mute husband that the bridge tournament and shore excursions are proof positive that this boat offers so many activities. She feels compelled to go tell Gopher and Julie and Isaac how awesome this is.
What, because she read a brochure on the cruise that she already paid money for? She just now realizes there's
stuff
to thank somebody for in the first day of a cruise.
Yeah.
I haven't done any activities yet, but I love the list of activities. Like,
if this brochure is any indication of the activities.
Wow.
Julie's like, perfect opportunity to put our plan into motion.
There it is.
She's like, don't thank us. So Gopher tries to take credit.
Yeah.
She's like, don't thank us. That's the captain's doing. And you should go tell him.
Ugh.
So Stubing and Schmidt are like 5 feet away because Schmidt is following Stubing. Like he's like
everywhere.
Glued to him all week.
Yeah.
But anyway, Joyce Brothers walks over and is like, hey, listen, gotta tell you what a great list of entertainment you have.
Looks
and
amazing.
Then Julie runs over and asks him to sign something, but she's actually written the names of the couple and how many times they've been on the boat, which is very clever.
It is clever. She is ready to get him off of the ship.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Stubing. I'll do anything I can to help you.
So Mr. and Mrs. Magwitch have been on the boat 3 times. Oh, it's your 3rd time sailing. This impresses everyone. Schmidt, Dr. Joyce Brothers, her mute husband, everyone.
Well, if Schmidt was shadowing Stubing as close as he was, he couldn't read that big old fat note on legal paper that said Mr. and Mrs. Magwitch, 3rd time. He's so made. Oh, I bet you magic impresses you too, huh, Herr Schmidt?
Getting a loot.
Jeez.
Stubing, don't think he's quite on to what's happening yet, but he was smart enough to realize, well, let's get out of here. And he offers to buy Herr Schmidt a drink, which doesn't mean that he's going to be drinking, but it could mean that he's drinking. And as we learned last week, Meryl hasn't touched alcohol in 10 years.
Yeah, why would somebody who doesn't drink offer somebody a drink like that? Let me buy you a drink. Isn't that a weird, or am I just misreading that? Like,
it doesn't necessarily have to mean it, but it doesn't not mean it either. Like if we hadn't had last week's episode, we would have thought they were having a drink.
I'm just saying, for me, like, I'm not really a drinker. I would never go up to somebody and go, hey, let's go get a drink, unless I was drinking too.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It just seems like a weird thing to suggest.
But I do know like, hey, let's
Let's go split. Nah, not split.
I do know people who
Watch me eat
don't
my
drink,
donut.
they have gone to bars with us,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. I've done that.
yeah,
It's a weird one-on-one.
yeah, yeah, it's not
Like
we are going to see Steubing drinking.
I'm gonna watch him like a hawk.
The question is, okay, what number of episodes before we see Steubing break that I don't drink thing?
Did he have wine at dinner in this one?
Damn it,
I'd have
I
to go
didn't
back
look.
and look. I didn't even think to look.
I was so overwhelmed by an actual captain's table that
So was I, and the fact he's sitting at the head like a
good call though.
captain.
Good call.
Something to look for, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Keep a watch out. Let us know. We are in the dining room, and for the first time all season, we do have an appropriate captain's table, as we just said. What a perfect segue.
But they messed the order up again. You have Steubing at the end, but they had to have Schmidt next to Steubing. So instead of it going like man, woman, the other side was man, woman, but where there's
Yeah, but
Steubing next to him
the
was him.
problem is Dr. Akers has to.
I forgot about Dr. Akers.
Right.
And as a left-handed eater,
Right.
honestly, Mike, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
But I'll
I can
say
sit next to
this:
anybody.
when me and my wife are on the same side of the booth, we try not to have it where my right is next to her left because she's left-handed and I'm right-handed. A lot of clunkiness.
I would love to see some clunkiness with him eating, with him only having one arm, because it
I
kind of
mean,
brings me.
we kind of
We
get
kind
it.
of saw.
I mean,
And my question here, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I thought about the food, and I thought about something, and then something sort of happened to reinforce the thought. You're a one-handed man, and there's steak on your plate, okay? And you hear him going like, "I got it." His prideful, "Don't you touch my damn food." That whole thing, and
clink, 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 clink.
he's just like ting 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 ting. Not one bite of food went to his face. I'm like,
It's like the scene in Christmas Vacation when they're trying to eat the
yeah,
the
the
dried out
driest turkey in the world. I'm like,
Yeah.
how does number one, why would you order steak? Like, what do you
Yeah,
do?
that's where
He
you
would
get
on pride.
that's
Do
where
you
you
have any
get
tough
chicken
steak?
fingers. You definitely
Yeah.
get chicken fingers.
Do you have any tough steaks? Anything really tough, hard to cut? Like,
Bone in, please.
he just eats everything with his hands. He just looks like a caveman. But he doesn't. That's why he's so skinny. He hasn't eaten in 10 years, unless it's a
One
soft
year.
serve.
1 year.
He can't do anything.
Anyway, the Akers and Schmidt are at the table. Does not appear there's any crew except Doc, which makes sense because he's a colleague. Merrill opens up praising Dr. Akers for his trailblazing work as a heart surgeon and commending him for how many lives he saved that maybe wouldn't have been able to be saved 20 years ago.
Why would he even know that?
I guess he talked
What the fuck is that?
I guess he talked to Doc about it.
What a weird thing to say to somebody at a dinner. This is
Or
to you and all the blah blah. Just what?
but haven't we seen a version, especially this week because they're trying to make him look good? Haven't we seen a version of Julie giving him like notes on the people at the captain's table? A little bit. Like,
I
remember
mean,
that
we
one time there
just.
was that guy was like the head of the bank or something?
Oh yeah. I mean, we just saw Julie with that one note, so I don't think it's far fetched to think that they get some sort of notes on these people prior.
This week more than any week, I would say
Yeah.
that's probable. Yeah.
If I were Steubing, I'd want notes on who am I dining with this evening. Give me like some notes on these people. Yeah, I get that.
For being a guy who says he doesn't golf anymore, Akers took advantage of this tee up. It's a doctor's job to save lives, but lately I've noticed a lot of colleagues more interested in having a good time.
What a piece of garbage this guy is.
Doc's like,
So can we assume that he was just like, because I feel like he was the same guy with or without that arm. He was a bit of an asshole,
yeah, it's
So
kind of like money, right? Money just
yeah,
amplifies who you are. Yeah.
he's
So.
just, he's just his wife can't even see straight, and he's just back arm joke, hand joke.
Yeah, I have a note that I feel like Art Akers' subtlety bone was in his left arm because he is just like swinging.
Dude.
Akers, like we talked about, is obviously having trouble cutting the steak, and there's like they do like a spin around shot of all the reactions of people, like just like he killed an animal at the table. Like it was
With
everyone's
one
like,
hand. He
yeah.
bare hand killed this thing like Manute Bol killed a lion, drags it to the table, and he's like, Like, do you need help like cutting into the lion meat to it? Leave me alone. I've got one. Even his wife was like, "Can I help you?"
Right. And
And
he's like,
he's like,
"No."
"Brr."
He's like,
And she's like,
"No."
Well, I'll
He's
help
like,
myself
"No."
to another
Right. He's like, "No, but here's a joke," which falls pretty flat. It's
by
very
the
awkward,
hand.
very uncomfortable. And I get it. Like, I certainly use humor in uncomfortable
It's the Bitsy
situations.
thing from last week is what it
A little
is. It's
bit,
just
a
a
little
way
bit.
to like self-deprecating but it doesn't make
Um,
anybody feel better. It makes everybody feel worse.
no, but Laura decides, with all the attention directed over to her husband, and she's sitting right next to him, that this is a time to sneak a pill.
What are those giant white pills you're taking? Nothing, nothing, nothing. Don't worry about it.
I was very happy to see that the hand model from the twins' wedding rings and the Doc medical health symbol ring
Love the
episodes is
consistency. Yeah.
still working. Still working. Great job. Doc does kind of spot the pill thing, maybe because he's looking for it, but he
Well,
did
it's
see it.
funny. So when they showed the pills, there's no normally like on a pill in a way to recognize or see what it is. There's usually like a code on it or numbers or something. You know, I'm Bricker. I can identify any smooth white pill just from the overall. Oh, that's very smooth. Oh, that's
Oh, oh
like you
wait,
couldn't
those.
identify it.
Oh, are those Altoids? Sorry,
Yeah.
my.
Oh, you have a headache? Is that Anison? Yeah. Mm-mm. I
We just
call
know they weren't.
shenanigans.
They weren't Nuprin. That's all we knew.
They were not little. They weren't yellow and they weren't
They
different.
were different. So. Gopher interrupts this painful dinner to tell Steubing of an
Oh,
emergency. He's got no details, much like Doc last week with the Bitsy thing. And so Steubing protests for a minute, then gets up and goes. Julie runs over to run their cover scam, which is that the computer is out and that Steubing is going to navigate under the stars. This
that's good.
concerns this
Yeah, I'm sure all
concerns Herr Schmidt
600.
immediately. So,
I'm good. I'm glad all 600 people on board or 400 are good with that. Like if we've lost well, the other thing too is when he's getting called away and he was like, "Me?" Like, yeah, doesn't this happen all the time? Like, aren't you the
yeah,
captain of the ship?
yeah.
What? Like
I'm eating.
you weren't used to I'm eating, exactly. I'm filling my cheeks. And he's like, "No, Captain, we need your help." And they should have shown him like shoveling it in. All right, hold on. And then
Takes his plate.
chipmunking his way out the door.
I gotta go
Good
back.
Lord.
Julie keeps going.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna fix the computer. He's a technical whiz.
This just
Like
okay.
all this stuff. I
It was a
I
bit
am going
much.
I am going to give the writers credit for this because it's happened enough, and I don't know that it happened the opposite way. When
Right.
the crew, any group of the four, makes a plan, a scheme, it's terrible.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's
Don't let those 4
absolutely
work
terrible.
together ever.
That fake heart attack that they did with Sonny Bono, the getting the money back off Harry Morgan, like their
They
schemes
didn't
are
catch
awful.
they didn't catch the kissing bandit either. Remember that whole thing they had
Right,
set up?
exactly.
Nothing. And they're on a boat and they couldn't catch him.
So I'm going to give them credit for maybe that is a thing, and I can enjoy that they're
Okay.
just not good at it, and
I
they
get
don't put
on
a
board
light
with
on it
that.
either, right? So
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
we smash cut to a nail sticking out of a rail, which is the actual emergency that they cooked up. Stubing's
It's
like,
just
get a
sitting there.
hammer and pull it out, and Gopher's like, that's why you're the captain.
Wow, what a smart man.
I will say when Stubing leaves and Stubing walks away, turns back like he's going to just light Gopher up, right? But he thinks better of it and walks away.
Gopher hit him with the 2-finger salute. He didn't know what to do. And he was like, oh.
The first 30, anything before Vicky showed up,
Yeah.
episodes of Stubing, he would have yelled and been an ass about this whole thing.
Oh, immediately.
But he took it well, and then that allowed us to actually get the best part of the scene, which is Gopher just walks by and pops the nail out of the rail.
I
I did
thought
laugh.
if Gopher was
I did laugh.
great this episode.
Gopher, yes,
Fred
I'm very
Grandy is
glad that
so
Gopher
good.
had a one episode hiccup and recovered.
But he
Because
just does these little things and
Mhm.
he doesn't react to it. It's not that they're dry. It's just very well timed
Yep. No,
little things. Yeah, he's great.
absolutely. Gwen and Paul are having dinner, but Carol's not there, which is, I guess, unlike her. So perhaps she's dead. They really should call the room. But
No kidding. Well, she found what's his name's brother. I wrote here. So Paul Dunbar looks like she and Gwen ordered the same dish that Gary Bergdorf Ordered in season 1, episode 9, the hot, opaque brown liquid.
Well, it's only hot
soup.
now, but eat up because it's going to get cold.
It's so weird. Like, oh, eat your soup. There's no steam coming from it. Who's eating a brown, watery soup on a cruise ship? Like, you could have anything you want. What do you?
I enjoy a soup.
Like that
when I
kind
go
of
to
soup?
well, no, of course not.
You're eating
I enjoy like a chowder
beef
or a
broth.
bisque.
Yeah, give me
something
something
like
in there,
that.
potato
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Just this clear. It looked like they were drinking a bowl. They were eating a bowl of coffee. Basically, is what it looked like.
Maybe it was.
Maybe.
Listen, I'm a moon expert. I'm not a soup expert.
That's right. That's right.
Damn it. Steubing is back at dinner already, which impresses Schmidt until Meryl's like, "Yeah, I just hit it with a hammer a couple times." So.
He fonzied it.
If like Schmidt, like you see him like all on a launch like in 10 minutes, right? He's just like paddling the hell out of there. He's like, I was wrong. Doc finds all this ridiculous, but he's starring in a completely different show, so he doesn't have time for any of this.
He doesn't have time for this, man. He's got a different wardrobe. He's got to get fitted for his bathrobe at the end. Yeah.
He actually needs to, quote, run into the acres in the hallway and offers to be their tour guide for tomorrow's Port of Vallarta trip. Uh-oh. Dr. Akers declines, and he's got one loaded up. That plastic arm is filled with zingers. He's like, glad to see that you're also adding tour operator to your list of
tour
duties.
Director. Enjoy your day tomorrow. That guy's such a... He should have his arm full of liquor. At least he'd be more fun to hang around with.
I will say, I'll give him credit. He turns to go. He's out of there. Akers is like...
Oh, he's done, dude.
Bomb gone, right?
He can't wait to get in his bed and sleep on his left side or his right side.
I'll give him credit. They didn't make a meal out of him getting the door open.
It's a push-pull. He can't...
So
it's a little too narrow. Oh, he'd be great.
In his wallet. It's a whole thing. So
he should just constantly be slamming that thing in a door or getting it caught somewhere. Maybe that's why he has a glove. It's all beat up. Slams it in drawers. Who knows? Before
Akers leaves, when he does decline, he's like, "I'll just be lying on the deck like all the other invalids." And Laura's like, "Art." It's like, come on, man.
Oh, Jesus, dude. Come on, man.
When he's gone, Laura kind of apologizes. He hasn't been the same, obviously, since the accident. Doc's like, he's got so much to do. He could write books. He could teach. And Laura's like, I don't think anyone can help him now.
Because he's a lefty. He's a lefty, Adam.
Well, we've certainly given up on all this. So
yeah, he's done. He's done.
Back in the cabin, the Akers are talking, and Laura asks Art why he has been so rough on Adam, but he's too busy getting off his fugitive one-armed man jokes.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! That was, boy. They really wedged that one in there. That was not even okay.
Fun fact: apparently, Dick or Richard Anderson actually was on a couple episodes of The Fugitive.
Which is a true story. Yeah, I looked it up when I saw it. I'm like, is this more than a coincidence or? Yeah.
The big takeaway from this scene is, though, that apparently there are no televisions on the Love Boat.
No TVs.
So,
well, in an age before cable or satellite, I mean, how would they even get?
Yeah,
they would just get like the early version of like Telemundo. You know what I mean?
And it's not any, and then obviously it's that thing where it's like you're not going on a cruise to watch TV. But I hadn't really thought about it. But we haven't seen one either. So
no.
Except
in Steubing's office, but
in his old office.
Which is weird because it wouldn't even work. What are you going to put on? There's no VCRs.
That's why they got rid of it in his new office.
What are you doing?
That and there's no room.
So he's like living like he had like an episode of Cribs in his office.
After a couple more sad sack jokes, Art goes to bed, as you said, on the one side. And that means it's pill o'clock for Laura.
It's pill time.
She takes those babies dry. No water. Just
that's a veteran move, man. I don't know how anybody.
This is not her first emphasis. Pill.
Save the water. Wow. Okay.
Gwen tracks down Carol on the deck. And eventually Carol's like, all right, you're making me tell you. And she kind of fills Gwen in on the first scene.
Finally.
So Carol said that she didn't go to dinner because she wasn't hungry. I think we've talked about this before. Did she not eat that night?
I didn't.
You like subtly ordered takeout, I guess?
She was suddenly stealing somebody else's man. That's what happened.
Carol doesn't seem that subtle. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Carol tells her what happened, and Gwen doesn't believe her. And Carol, once again, does bring the logic. She's like, why would I make that up? She's like, why?
But also, like, why would I wait 2 days to tell you this?
Fair.
Like, did you want to see how it played out? Like, Carol's terrible,
But then
man.
they should have. This is where they either should have made Gwen more overtly naive,
Right.
or Gwen should have said that, right? But they do this like middle thing where she's just like, well, I'm not gonna
dance. Like,
be logical.
what?
Like,
Yeah, it was a little weird.
anyway, Carol's like, you don't believe me? How about you show up for the moon date with the moon expert at 11 p.m. on the promenade? She had a weird pronunciation of promenade. She like
Promenade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she's.
Gwen is like, I will, and she runs off. Doc is down in the dumps as he walks into the Acapulco lounge, and that's just not a place for being in the dumps.
You can bring that energy over to the Pirates Cove.
Julie and Gopher try to cheer him up. Gopher's like, why does this guy's opinion mean so much to you? And Doc once again kind of gives the credentials, and he clearly respects and is almost in awe of this man that is now just disparaging him at every turn. Every right turn. Julie ignores all this and mentions that anytime they go into a port, the list of ladies that Doc has sired, whispers his name, which is really not what he's going for.
Yeah, it's not really helping Julie. That's kind of you're doing the opposite.
Yeah. She asks to dance, but Gopher cuts in, and Gopher actually is like, you know what? Let's give him a little time. And how about you cool off a little bit, Julie?
Look at Gopher reading the room.
Yeah. So now Gopher doesn't want to dance. He just wanted to get Julie away, and they realize, oh, let's go bother Carl Schmidt. Yeah. He's just kind of sitting against the wall.
Sit incredibly close to Carl Schmidt. Sure.
And this is probably the most manic, quote unquote, help scene that they do.
Yeah, I didn't like this one. Maybe it was a little awkward.
Yeah, Julie's a little better at it than Gopher. Gopher clearly is just kind of stuttering, and there's just a lot of like, oh, he's so great, this, that, and the other. There was a funny line where Gopher almost calls him a mother, and they basically do a shaft, shut your mouth. But Schmidt, in the midst of all this frenzy, kind of tells them that he's interested in Stubing for the job. So now Isaac's eavesdropping has been confirmed. 11 o'clock. Do you know where your moon is?
Moon expert time.
Gwen is sitting in the plumber poet perch, waiting to see if her fiance shows up. Carol's there, just hanging out. She's like, hey, are you still here? Well, it turns out Carol is not a liar. Paul shows up. Now, Paul comes in. Now, it doesn't matter if you knew that your fiance is hiding or not. At this point,
very confident.
You really have two options if you're Paul, right?
Yeah.
Beg forgiveness. Please don't tell.
Like preemptively.
Please don't tell Gwen. I made a mistake. I love her. Blah, blah, blah. But you come in like that.
Yeah.
Or, hey. But this middle move he tries to do where he's like, listen, the reason I hit on you is because my friends were kind of giving me some ribbing about being an old man married.
I think it's almost worse. That like the approach he's taking is worse.
Yes.
Like way worse because there's no acknowledgement. And basically it's like he said what? Like I just wanted to see. I feel like we're watching that To Catch a Predator. You know, they always catch him in the house and they're like, "Well, I wasn't going to do anything."
I
You
just
know,
broke
"Well, did you
pizza.
bring condoms?"
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wasn't going to do anything. You
Yeah.
drove 6 hours with a cheese pizza to me. You know what I mean? It's one of those like
Yeah.
when confronted, he always has this weird, like slippery zone, but really,
Like,
it's
what
just
if
a
there's
smoke
a
screen. He's a creep.
right? What if there was a second person looking for their makeup in front of Carol, and he hits her?
Right.
He's having a moon date at 11 o'clock, right? The only reason he's not is because of this. That he just picked up all the gin joints, basically.
Yeah, but it's not like Carol said to him, "Hey, not only do I not want you to meet me because Gwen is my best friend, I'm gonna tell Gwen." You know what I mean? There was none of that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
still
I
it's
agree.
still I do appreciate that Carol told Gwen what was going on, but I still think that the way that this thing was executed, because Gwen didn't even hang out to hear what really happened.
Right.
And you're like, What? Now
Well, and
she's gonna be mad at her after the like, it doesn't even make sense."
really, the move is you go, you tell her, you tell Gwen. Gwen
Yeah,
doesn't believe you. You
right.
say, I'm supposed to meet him at 11 o'clock. Like,
That's
I
it.
think we find it out later. They don't appear to be staying in the same cabin, which is bonkers. But
I mean,
like,
even Joey and his partner shared a cabin last
where is
night.
she? Where is he saying he's going at 11? If he's not lying, right?
But
So
again, why would you would be in separate if I'm
yeah,
engaged to somebody, there's 0 chance. Imagine their
no.
cabins are so far apart too, they're in opposite ends,
Oh
but,
yeah.
like,
Meanwhile,
of
Carol and Paul have
course,
adjoining cabins.
Paul Dunbar is shady as hell, man. You know, if this is the way he behaves when Gwen's not around, it
Yeah.
just unluckily happened to be Carol who's friends with Gwen. It could, like you said, it could happen to anyone else. He probably met a woman at 11:15, 11:30, 11:45, and
Yeah.
midnight.
Have a drink with me under the stars.
This guy's
Um,
just a bag of garbage.
the he tacks on the good stuff about Gwen, but baby, you better start that stuff first.
You
Because
better lead with that.
the other thing he's not doing is he is not accounting for Carol as the best friend, right?
No, he's
Like
not even
any
covering that.
female best friend would be have the knives out for you.
Yeah.
So,
It
um, that was kind of ridiculous. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's an
Gwen leaves.
inconsistent it doesn't say much to the quality of their friendship
No,
if you have a 48-hour delay before you tell anybody
no,
anything.
or their engagement.
Yeah, it's shady. Carol's shady.
Gwen leaves screaming, which was a surprise to Paul. She didn't
I don't
really.
know how. I don't know how
Yeah,
it's a surprise to Paul, but yes, he seemed shocked.
yeah. Well, I guess she didn't know. He didn't know she was there. I guess.
They're on the same freaking cruise ship. Like, this guy's meeting people on decks at 11 o'clock. How confident must you be to do that and think,
I
"I
can
know my
thread this
fiance is
needle.
on the boat. I'm gonna fricking shoot my shot, and I'm gonna be on this deck at 11 o'clock at night. Bring it." Oof. Or he must have really been into Carol Gilmore.
Doing well. I mean, to be fair, he gave that 3 seconds. Like he was into move making before he
It
even
was like the
really probably had
first
a
woman
chance
he
to look
saw.
at her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I think Paul Dunbar is very much into Paul Dunbar.
Yes. Stubing comes down to the lounge and gets the full Julie and Gopher treatment before Schmidt kind of says, "All right, I told them what's up."
Mhm.
Julie tries to and Gopher give Stubing credit for putting grenadine in the pina colada mix.
Why would you do that?
That just doesn't. That's a
It
bad.
doesn't that doesn't even
That would be
sound good.
bad.
That's
That would not be good. That's not one I would put on the resume.
why would you add an extra ingredient that's
A
gonna cost more
dominating,
money?
a dominating ingredient too.
That's disgusting, man. Are you gonna
That's
add
not like.
syrup?
I mean, yeah, it's gonna taste like Dr Pepper now.
He's
Not
almost like
amaretto.
saying, "Hey,
Sorry. Yeah.
I reinvented the margarita. We added 3 extra ice cubes." Great job, Stubing. Great job.
Schmidt tells
Schmitz.
Stubing that he's already made his decision. The job's his if he wants it. And everybody's like, of course he wants it.
Of course he does.
Right. So why are you walking away sad, Merrill? Where you going, Captain? Well, he's going to commercial break with Stare into the Long Sea
Yeah, he is.
Now what am I going to do?
Some violins playing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Suspense. Act 3. The Akers are chatting the next morning. Looks like Art's trying to get Laura to go to breakfast, but Laura wants to go into town. Akers gets off yet another gem.
Well, this one was what Akers said. What are we going to have? Hand and eggs for breakfast?
He says maybe I'll find a bridge game short of hand.
Just
Laura's like, enough with
the damn jokes. Where's my Valium?
Yeah, that sent her right back to the pill bottle. But the problem is that thing is bone dry.
Oh no. And now and the shakes begin.
Okay. Carol and Paul are on the deck, and Gwen is still pissed. That's when Paul says he was banging on her door all night, which made me think they have separate cabins, which makes no sense. But why are they having this meeting on deck chairs?
Makes no sense.
Again, to your point, on the boat where Gwen is free to walk around and spot them, which she does immediately.
And they don't look very worried.
No, not at all.
They're lounging, having drinks on the thing. Like, she's back in her bathing suit. Like, wouldn't you be knocking on your friend's door?
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. This is bad crisis management by these two.
Yeah, Gwen's just, well, yeah. Gwen needs to take a look at her friends.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, I'm already kind of past the storyline. This was like,
I am too. Because now they don't even. I feel like at this point in the story, they don't even know how to land the plane.
Nope. So no, and it's like, and I think they knew what the ending was going to be, and so they were doing filler with all this other stuff. But the ending's not
get to the.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with a storyline ending before the end of the episode too, intentionally or unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this could have ended here, and but yeah.
And they clearly had more Bricker because like there are multiple times where it's back to back.
Yeah,
of the same storyline. So speaking of back on Bricker, Laura goes to Doc's office hoping to get a refill on them pills. Doc takes a look and he's like, "Hey, this just got filled up last week for 50 pills.
50.
That's a lot of pills for a week." Laura's a pro, man. She's like, "I spilled them. They got all wet."
They got all wet. Because I wouldn't take a wet pill.
I can't take a wet pill. You know, we're on a boat. There's water everywhere.
Yeah.
And not a drop to drink, which is actually how she takes pills. Doc, okay, this is where I had to put captioning on to find out it's diazepam.
I got it.
Doc is like, I keep that stuff downstairs because there's not really a normal call for that on the boat, which does make sense because it's a pretty heavy duty drug. You said you have the deets.
It's Valium is all it is.
Yeah.
Again, it's just going to chill you out. That's it. I have seen people that really like the Valium. I've never seen people have an onset of the shakes after a few hours of not having them, but I don't think I've ever met anybody who has had 50 in a week. Seems a bit excessive, but
the one note I saw says it can cause paranoia and suicidal thoughts. It can also impair memory, judgment, and coordination, and we kind of saw all of that.
Yeah, we saw all of it. Yeah,
yeah. So that Google search was written by a viewer,
or it was written by Laura Akers. You know, basically,
true. Their shaky hand. Laura leaves. And we get yet another long Bricker stare into the distance. And Laura does the outside the door kind of.
I love his concerned, like, patented. Oh, boy. Kind of look.
We got a lot of those today.
I love him. Yeah.
All right. Here comes Cranky Steubing.
I didn't understand this. I got to be honest with you. I did not understand the point of him getting cranky.
Even after watching the whole thing?
Well,
I didn't get it in the moment.
Yeah, because I was like, is this what you're going to do to undo? Is the easiest thing to do in this situation is to cause some, that's almost like in like an unhealthy relationship. I've done things to like, hopefully this person will break up with me now because I don't want to.
Everybody's
fair
enough.
That.
Yeah, that's
in the moment, I was like, what? But yeah.
I just thought he was hungry. He tells Gopher to stop making jokes with the passengers. He's not Bob Hope. He yells at Isaac for eating all the ship's profits. Sure. And that's really like kettle black right there,
Big
Merrill.
time.
And then he gives Julie crap for having the entertainment report 2 days late. Like, what is on that report? You
What's
have
on the
like
report?
one act.
Disco dancing. Check.
Yeah. It's a magician again.
Well, it's funny. So he rips the crew and then leans over and kisses a passenger's hand. Like he's just like, what are those things when they drop the lemon in your eye? You know what I mean? Do those weird tiki. He's just bugga bugga boom kissing. He's just smooching. Like he's all over the place. He doesn't know what he's. I kind of like this version of the captain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just getting things done.
Schmidt sees this, and when he kind of mentions you're being a little harsh, he's like, "Bug off, pal." So.
I didn't ask you to come over, hair. Schmidt.
I meant to go back and look. I can't remember the exact title. Is it it's not the captain of the watch, right? It's the announcer guy. He's next.
No, I don't think it's captain of the announcer.
Yeah, but it's something of officer of the watch.
Yeah, officer of the watch.
He's back this week again. He's got an announcement about parasailing in 10 minutes, so gets to step in.
Let's go. I started getting changed, and I'm like, oh, I'm just really into this episode. Yeah.
Doc runs into Akers on the deck, and this dick is firing immediately.
The first thing out of his mouth, he's so rude.
How's medical Disneyland?
Oh, what a jerk.
Christ. Doc brings up Laura's request to get the pills filled. And Akers is like, are you questioning my medical opinion? What gives you the right?
He says, leave the medicine to the real doctors. Oh, screw you, Bricker.
And he doesn't even give Doc like a chance to respond. I tell you one thing, this guy didn't lose his feet. He turns his heel and is
good.
Gone.
It's like he has these statements ready in his pocket. Okay, Bricker comes up. I'm going to go immediately into card 4, 5, and 6. This guy is on it.
Stewing. Just been stewing. So when he walks away again, we smash cut to Doc's office, and who's there?
Who is this?
A nurse.
Is it Vegas nurse still? Who is this person?
It's just a nurse. I intended to write it out. I looked up the actress. The IMDb profile has to be wrong because it said she was born in 1912. So that is not.
Oh, you're talking about Mary Farrell as a nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that profile was correct.
Yeah. The only thing I see here for her, she was on Family Ties. She was on the show Duet.
Sure.
Are you familiar with that?
Duet was one of those first Fox shows.
Romantic comedy focused on mystery writer Ben Coleman and caterer Laura Kelly as they dealt with all the ups and downs of a relationship from courtship to marriage.
Ben Coleman used to play for the Sixers.
Really?
In the 80s.
Wow.
Well, we have a nurse. We have a nurse that's talking, which, except for Dawn Delaney, it's the only time we've ever seen this. So I was excited. Problem is, this nurse is not ready for Laura Akers. So.
No, and she's never coming back. Apparently, she gets fired after this. Yeah.
Laura Akers is like, I want to see Doc. He's like, oh, he's not in. She's like, I'll go wait in the examining room. She's like, I guess that's okay. And Laura's like, I wasn't asking.
Yeah. Where are the pills kept? I mean, I'll wait here.
Right. So she's in there about 4 seconds. She goes to the drawers to get the pills, I assume, because that little
normally
tiny,
not in glass, sir. That's sort of a giveaway.
That's a cabinet you keep your lanyard and a pen in. Like, that was very small.
Well, don't put anything secure.
Yeah.
You just
she's pulling on it.
Yeah.
But it's locked up like the deodorant at a CVS. So all this noise.
She's trying to Coke machine this thing. Just nothing.
All the noise has alerted our nurse. And she's like, what's happening? And she's like, I fell. And then she leaves. So.
Dumbest nurse ever.
But I'm sure it'll be fine.
Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
The crew is trying to figure out what the hell is up with Steubing.
What's going
on? All that behavior. But of course, he shows up and breaks up their little coffee break.
Mm-hmm.
Schmidt at this point is clearly just tailing Steuben because he is always right around.
Well, if he already made his decision, why is he like all over?
Because you're right, he's trying to get them to rescind the offer.
Ugh.
Schmidt is like, "Hey, you haven't given us an answer yet," and he's like, "Mr. Powell, I need to see you," and they walk away.
Turns around.
Good thing Mr.
I
Powell
bet
was
you
there.
Schmidt didn't even notice that. It was so smooth.
Yeah, officer of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Akers catches up with Doc in the hallway, and he kind of starting to apologize a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know.
A little bit. A little bit. I think
bit.
it's starting to turn a little, but he's not. Yeah.
No, he's not full apologizing. But before he gets too far, here comes Laura down the hallway. Arthur.
Freaking out.
She is wavering more than in the hurricane episode when the boat was teetering. She is
just
Arthur.
She's all over the place. Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts. What hurts? I don't know. I don't really know a lot about detox, but does it hurt? I always thought it was like the sweats or
I don't know. I mean, I would assume that
like
the
nerve
hurt is
shaking.
nothing more than like your body craving that medication. I think the hurt in there is just, also like I don't know how addictive Valium is, but if it's this addictive, maybe we should know a little bit more about that.
Well, I think when you take
Jeez.
when you take 7.12 a day, I think
you're riding that train, and then you go to 0.
Yep. She'll be fine tomorrow.
It'll be fine.
She falls into Doc's arms. Doc kind of feels her head because I assume she's like 140-degree temperature.
Oh, we're gonna see.
Or 7, one or the other.
One or the other, yeah.
And then he's like, "Hey, go get my nurse and meet me back at your cabin." And this dick is like, "Wait a minute, don't you think she just needs to lay down?" And finally,
yep,
this is the one that broke Doc, I think. Finally, he's like, "Just go do what I said, please."
Yeah, yeah.
Just go. Your feet
and
still
good
work,
for
right?
Bricker. Like enough of your nonsense.
Right.
You know, it's fine when it's go time. It's Adam Bricker time. He
Every time.
does not screw around delivering babies. You can count on him.
Having unnecessary surgeries every time.
Boy wonder.
We smash cut right to the Akers cabin. There's nothing in between. This is remember the last episode of Bricker? They had Bert Convy in the middle to kind of break up the tension. Not here.
This time. We don't want to break it up. See how sweaty she is too? She's covered in sweat.
She's soaked. She is soaked. Like she's Larry Storch trying to drill a hole in the sauna.
She's soaked.
Doc's diagnosis is that she is suffering from withdrawal. And she must have been boosting her dosage to get this hooked this fast. Akers finally realizes that he's basically been her dealer the whole time. Bricker gives him a little grace, saying, sometimes we're too close to the problem, but he's not really giving him, an exit ramp here.
No.
Because Akers starts to really beat himself up, and Doc's like, "Yep, I gotta go."
Yeah. let him marinate in all those things that he had said before to Bricker. Yeah.
Laura suddenly wakes up during Dr. Akers' guilt trip. Laura wakes up and she's got her own guilt about, "Why won't you blame me for the accident? I shouldn't have been driving that night." So this is why she's been all effed up for the last year. She feels guilty.
I'm so glad that you said what you just said, because I just had a bit of a realization. So if she was driving that night,
yes,
and he lost his left arm, how the hell does that happen? I just assumed he was driving, so the left arm would be on the outside. How do you lose your arm if your arm's in the middle of the car?
I guess they could have flipped over or something.
Or the car got cut in half, Mike. That's what happened.
Maybe they were in London.
Big axe in the road, and
maybe they were in England.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah, let's do that.
I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right, though.
Like, what a weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
But she's basically trying to get him to let it all out, but he doesn't seem to actually feel like blaming her. Like, that's definitely not there.
That's not it. He's just like can't deal with the fact that he can't
Right.
cut his own meat or do surgery.
Right. He tries another joke, and she's like, "No more jokes.
No more jokes,
No more
Arthur.
jokes."
And she's just
Acting.
riding the dragon at that point. She's God knows what she's. I don't know why anybody's even listening to her at this point. Like she's just talking crazy and sweaty. Like settle down over there, Laura. We got you talking
Yeah.
crazy.
Doc's like, "That's enough. I'm gone. I've done my
Yeah,
duty here." And
he did his job.
we get Dr. Akers with a dramatic hand to the face over stirring music to his sweaty wife.
His hand just slips off her face.
Oh, I'm drenched.
My good
Act
hand is all
4.
wet now.
Act 4. Oh
Oh,
God, I hate this scene. Act 4.
I
Slow
do too.
dancing.
This makes
Uh,
no sense, Mike. None. Why would
Paul
they
and
be slow
Carol
dancing together?
are dancing. Right.
Like,
Exactly. Like,
why?
even if you think your explanations are legitimate,
Right,
your
stay as
friend
far away as you can.
fiance is so mad. You should be doing this separately.
Well, they're like, see, nothing's going on. We're just hanging out the rest of the trip
Yeah.
after you get mad. Like we're hanging out more now. Yeah,
And
come on.
this room ain't that big because she got over there pretty fast. Gwen's at the bar. They didn't see her. Like, what is
That's the thing
happening?
too. When they're asking Gwen, she's like, "Oh, I'm watching this," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, exactly. How did they not?
Yeah.
This it's all weird. The whole
Yeah.
thing is all weird."
Strange credulity.
Yeah.
She's stewing. Isaac's like, hey, to be fair, when they do talk, they're talking about you, but I mean, so what? I
I
can
mean,
say, hey, don't tell your husband. That's talking about you. So it's like,
well, it's crazy because I mean, like they had this big scene in the middle of the dance floor, which if it happened last episode, no one would have heard it and no one would have seen it because it was so dark. But like
yeah.
this big scene had such a fast resolution. Oh, okay, really? Okay, good. And then that was
I,
it.
I I
Like
have
what?
scrolled up from my notes because they're not that important. Basically,
Yeah.
what happens is Gwen grabs Gopher to use as an excuse to get over to Carol and Paul on the dance floor.
Why don't you just walk up to him? I mean,
Exactly.
shit.
And then she's throwing accusations first at Paul, but Paul says that Carol's not her type or his type, and then Gwen's offended by that for her friend, and then Carol's like something or other. They both basically say, I love her too, and this fixes everything into a group hug.
It fixes nothing.
No.
It's
Nothing
just
was
dumb.
solved.
Either that or like Gwen just has a low ceiling for forgiveness,
It's
something.
I really think they could have done 2 or 3
Something.
small tweaks and actually had a good storyline, but
Because
this was terrible.
I mean, the storyline should be called Gwen lets everyone off the hook. You know what I mean? People randomly come up and do mean things, and she's like, "That's all right."
And
It's just
and
weird.
again, like, Paul's going to do that again. What, you got it out of your system? Like, if you're Paul, you're like, "Well, I met your best friend, so I'm
But the
fine
only
now."
reason I think he backtracked, "Oh, I was just asking somebody out, but that's all I needed," is because Carol was Gwen's best friend. Let's say she did that to Ruth, somebody.
Yeah,
Say he did to
exactly.
Joyce Brothers,
Right,
Mrs.
exactly.
Magwitch, if you will. Somebody that wouldn't say no.
Mr.
He
Magnet
wasn't
isn't gonna say
asking.
anything. So
Well, it's just where he frames it like, "Well, I was asking people to see if they would say yes."
no, yeah,
Okay,
and
well,
that's
this one said yes, and
specifically
then you showed up. He's so
right.
full of it, man.
That's not getting something out of your system either.
No.
Like,
You know
that's
what
the
he
kind of
wanted
thing
to
you
get
say when
out.
you have an actual affair, which he will be having very quickly.
If he hasn't already had it. If he's
That's a good
ballsy
point too.
enough to do that once on the boat, I'm sure he's done it again too. It's a big
Yeah.
boat.
Well, now he knows what Carol looks like, so everybody else is fair game.
Yeah, the one person. Sweet.
We
Maybe
get
he
in a
did this ahead he probably did this to like 20 different women who he thought were Carol Gilmore. Just to like go ahead and check that box to free him up for further adventuring on the boat. What a piece of garbage.
Are you Carol Gilmore? He's just body checking ladies everywhere. So. Also, I know it's 1979 and it's hard, but like, there wasn't like a picture or a description of either of them to the other.
Something.
Yeah. We get an
Because
abrupt cut from the disco music playing to a silent bricker's office. And who knocks on the door? It's old Merrill Steubing.
Look at him.
Coming for some advice. And I will say this. I certainly have had a lot of criticisms about this season. especially the first 10 to 15 episodes. They have done this 3 or 4 times this
I love
season.
it.
I requested it, honestly, back in season 1. I wanted them to have this kind of relationship, and it's great every time. And they don't sit there that long. They don't go
have to.
overboard. But Steubing basically is showing up to ask Doc what he thinks. Doc already knew, and Steubing was like, "Oh, you know too?" And everybody knows Meryl.
Yeah, dummy.
But Steubing's kind of like, "What would you do?" And Doc's like, "No, no, 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 no.
It's not that easy, Meryl.
Yeah."
A couple
Basically,
old
he says,
Jedis. Yeah.
What do you want? What's success for you?" He says, "Health, happiness, love." And somehow that gives him the answer he needs.
Somehow, what, all those words equal Pacific Princess?
Yeah, I don't know how health is better on the Love Boat. We've seen your donut intake.
Well, that's just it. Is they're going to have him crack down? I bet you there's like height weight requirements on that ship. No
Oh, thermal
donuts.
efficiency.
That's what it is. He doesn't want to be on there just for the lack of.
He's got to wear pants.
He's like, I'm not wearing pants. That should have been his first question. Can I wear shorts?
You're out.
No, you're out.
Anyway, I like those when they do those.
I do too.
They save them for the big stuff. It's not like he's going in there going, "Oh, what do you think about my socks?" You know. So.
It's very like Captain Kirk and Bones kind of thing that I like. It's a
nice touch, and it does separate those two from the other three in a way that I think makes sense.
Like a cast sort of thing. Like they're absolutely in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they have that camaraderie.
Yep, I agree. Laura is waking up from her nap.
A lot less sweaty.
Akers gives her the straight dope about missing the signs, about her addiction and what was happening to her post-accident. Basically, these two have kicked the habit of drugs and sadness very quickly, thanks to God knows why.
Yeah, I don't even know why. It's not like his arm's going to grow back and he's going to be like not bitter. She's still to this day.
It's like, how about you guys talk?
Yeah. How about we're just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
He's already written out a prescription already. He's like, I don't want to deal with her nonsense.
For himself.
I don't want to hear it.
How much diazepam do you have at home?
Like, I should have been the one taking the pills. They screwed it up.
Akers goes to Doc's office for an actual apology this time. Doc says that Art can help his wife as a doctor and as a husband. He mentions a really good clinic in Los Angeles that he can recommend. Akers kind of seems like he wants to hang out and talk some more, but Doc's like, I got to go. Bedtime.
Yeah, I'm a part-time tour guide. Got to go after my bedtime. Doc, he does shoo him out.
Adam Bricker forgives. He does not forget.
No.
That red robe was something, though.
That was a hell of a robe. I love his PJs.
Steubing and Schmidt walk into the dining room, and Julie mentions that there's a couple celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary. If he wants to stop by, he throws his hands up at this. There's a heavier set lady who it's her birthday and she wants to dance, and Steubing's like, thanks for the warning. Julie's like, all right.
Yeah, that's
enough of this. And this is really good, Julie. And it does seem like after Doc, Julie is the one that could really call Steubing on his BS.
I agree.
And give her credit. She kind of just steamrolls him even when he's trying to pull rank.
Yep.
But it's all for good. She's basically telling Schmidt he's not like this. He is a good guy. All blah 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 blah. All these compliments that don't necessarily track with all the episodes we've seen, but at least the last few they do. And Schmidt finally says, like, listen, all this, we still want you. And he's like, that's what I was afraid of. And he finally has to turn the job down like an adult.
Yeah. In a non-passive aggressive sort of way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess we're not going to have a new captain next week. We're not going to have the spinoff of the Lorelei.
There's so many things I was counting on.
Yeah.
I was looking at like, Pillhead, the new season, but no,
Got to question
alas.
Schmidt's logic of hiring this, still wanting to hire this very temperamental and emotionally bereft person to run a superliner.
It's funny. Most people of German descent that I've met, or people in Germany, they are a very logical people. So the fact that Schmidt, all this other sort of smokescreen, I feel like if he was being true to his character, he would have been like, Herr Stubing,
Yeah, but
why'd you act,
Baltimore, they
something
don't care.
Baltimore accent. Let's get
Yeah.
a couple natty bows, some
You
sugar.
like crab cakes?
Yeah, so it's fine.
Schmidt tells the crew how lucky they are to have him, and it's like one of those, "Aw." The first of 2 that we get.
Yeah.
Act 5. There has never been a less relevant Act 5.
Nothing. There was nothing
Because
going
there was
on here.
really never a less relevant Act 4.
Well, there was nothing. They tied everything up.
Gwen, Carol, and Paul are coming down the steps. They all thank Isaac for the good advice. I don't really know what Isaac did. And then Paul thanks him because he likes to be included. Paul sucks.
Paul's terrible.
Paul sucks.
I'm not a fan of his.
Nope. We'll get to Paul in a section in a minute here.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
The Akers are leaving. To your point, everybody's fine now. It's that classic 12-hour detox. She is a spring chicken. She is looking great. She's got Eng.
It's amazing what 12 hours and no pills will do for you. I'm sure she's, as soon as she turns that corner, she's going to be just covered in sweat again. Like,
here's the thing. You took a minimum of 50 pills in a week.
Yeah.
We don't know how many other jars she has back there. Or before
she might have taken all 50 like yesterday. I mean, who knows? We don't know how she's loading them in.
I mean, she's taking them dry. Who can count?
You brought up something earlier in the episode, and you asked me to guess who was on that show.
Yes.
Who's also a star of another sitcom.
Yes.
And for some reason, my brain, and God knows why, went right to an actor named Joel Higgins. If I'm right, it's a miracle. I don't think I'm right, but that's my guess.
It's not Joel Higgins. The person who plays rock star Crazy Joe Flash is Frank Fontana from Murphy Brown.
Oh, jeez.
Joe Regular.
I like that show, actually. That's a funny show.
Yeah. And he actually ended up in that that TV movie I sent you that they did in like 1990 for the Love Boat, where it was like a 20-minute murder mystery to start.
Yeah, it just made me very uncomfortable.
We will not be doing that, maybe.
No. Maybe we'll see.
Anyway, Schmidt's leaving. He's like, goodbye, and we get another sentimental crew thing, but that's it. Long story short, Stubing is not leaving. Everybody's happy. Julie gives him a kiss, welcome home. And the rehabilitation of Meryl Stubing in the second half of season 2 continues.
Yeah.
And that's the episode. Totals and a recap. King of the Mountain. Best episode is still episode 3, Captain Dave and the cruise ship Casanova. Worst episode, we currently have a tie between Pepito, episode 13, and episode 16, which was our Christmas episode. That, of course, is Allergic to Your Girlfriend, the Jive Boat, and the dad and the son and Libby.
Yeah, I don't see much changing after this episode.
It's worse than I thought it was, though, the second viewing.
I agree.
It's not as bad as these, because here's what I'll say. There was nothing egregiously bad. There was nothing I hate this bad. I can at least talk about the whole Paul, Gwen, Carol thing in a logistical way.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate the Stubing storyline in the first half. It just, the second half was kind of dumb.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. There was nothing great. I mean, again, coming off of a 2-parter, which is always interesting because they try to put, 3 pounds of stuff in a 10-pound bag, where this is a much more comfortably paced episode. Even though 2 of the storylines I felt were pretty much wrapped up about, 32, 33 minutes in.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It definitely not King of the Mountain. Not the best, not the worst.
No. And And again, I think it's that thing. I enjoy the Bricker,
No, he's the
kind of
best. He's the best.
episode piece of it. This wasn't as good as the first Bricker, but it was still
No.
like a much different show. I just wish they would have. I feel like if they just would have fixed that Carol and Gwen thing, it actually could have been a good episode.
I think, and it didn't take a lot of work to tweak
Nope.
that into
But it
making
did
it
take
something that would
some
work. But they just
I
did
didn't
nothing.
do it, but a lot of writers whose names I did not recognize this week.
Yeah,
which makes me
I
think
did
a
see
lot
the
of
same
maybe,
thing.
maybe like a lot of first time people, but yeah, it
Could see
wasn't
that.
great. Captain of the week this
It's
week.
pretty obvious, sir.
Yeah,
it's Adam Bricker for me easily. I didn't have to think about it much at all.
And I think I cannot imagine what would have to happen for him not to win the Stubby this year.
Oh, he's killing it this year.
Honestly, I think he is putting himself in contention for overall Stubby.
I do too. So, I was thinking about that with the Bitsy stuff. He's been such a strong, consistent character all season. It's tough.
Yeah.
And it's funny, so far, I don't think anybody has been stronger or more consistent this season.
No. Well, it's interesting. So I think Richard Anderson as Dr. Akers was very good as a villain.
I mean, he was just,
monotone. That's a meaty role, right? But he was good at it.
Yeah, he was good.
If anything, I think he was not great with the ending in terms of his softness, but that's okay.
No, they shouldn't have had him back off at all.
Yeah. But I enjoyed their back and forth a little bit. But again, we said it last week with Bitsy. We said it a few weeks prior to that. We say it every week. It's like you drop Bernie Capel in with anybody and he can play off anybody.
He's great.
Every time.
He's great.
Also, we did kind of mention it. I'm glad Gopher came back with some
he had a good
positivity after last week's worst ever Gopher episode. So
quiet week from Isaac, aside from the eavesdropping. Not a lot from him this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst of the week, walk the plank.
So easy. Paul Dunbar. There's that guy. I mean, we've said it. I think we've defined why I feel that way, and he is just the biggest heel.
This took me back. This took me back to episodes around this point of the season last year with Rick.
Oh,
and with Mike.
Captain Mike.
Mike Andrews. No, Mike Andrews, the guy who told that lady, "I'll see you when I see you," basically.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Guys like that. But those guys were better looking and had more game.
Well, they kept it simple. It wasn't all this crazy hoops.
Simple. You're right. Yeah. No, he is one of the. I feel like it's going to be hard for like either Red Buttons or Norman Fell not to win worst of the year, but
at least
this guy,
Red Buttons had some energy.
Yeah, this guy was. He was like all the bad actions of the scummy guys we've seen, but none of the scumminess. But that doesn't make it better.
He was like the shell of a scumbag.
Right.
But like he was still totally a scumbag.
Right. Yeah.
But somehow he smiled through it.
Right. And I think it's the way this guy looks too. He just looks very happy and pleasant. And like he should have been in a much more cheerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a bad storyline.
In plain sight. Maybe he's like the biggest villain.
I'd have to really sit and think about it. We've had some really bad storylines, but that was a very bad storyline.
It was dumb. It just they threw logic out the window.
That's totals and a recap for this week.
No email this week, Mike, but let me go ahead and give out the email address. You can email us at theloveboatproject@gmail.com. Any plugs this week, sir?
Absolutely Hammered will be back. We're done our Christmas break, so we will be eventually talking about the Phillies highlight film, which has still not been released. I don't know why, but believe it or not, spring training is like in 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
So we'll be talking on that podcast, which you can get on the Hitting Season Patreon.
I'm starting a competing Phillies podcast called Absolutely Not Hammered. I'm going to do the opposite.
Wow.
Just kidding.
You're kidding? Because that would be really, man.
That would be.
What if I join that other Love Boat podcast?
Oh, no.
I mean, we can't leave now. We have sound effects.
No, we're already in. So yeah, we're in there now. Plus, I think we've bankrupted the other Love Boat podcast. You can find us everywhere you find your audio podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Podchaser, Player FM, and my favorite, Deezer. Please hit that subscribe button and leave a review. You can also check out our video podcast on YouTube. Again, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review. You can also find us on Instagram and on Facebook. Look for weekly reels and updates.
Yep, and thanks always to the comments on the reels, especially about the episodes. One of these weeks, I will pull a bunch of the comments. Sorry, been a little under the weather, but I really do appreciate everybody's comments. It's fun to hear your thoughts, and especially for stuff that we miss, which happens occasionally.
We're very. It's a fine tooth comb.
Yeah. You have looked ahead to next week.
Oh, I have. How fitting, Mike. On episode number 44,
Pete Maravich?
No. That we welcome my favorite baseball player of all time.
Oh, that's
the straw that stirs the drink, Mr. Reginald Jackson.
Does that mean that's the 90-minute one?
Oh, God.
I think it is.
Is it?
I think it's 90 minutes.
Oh.
Your turn.
Well, I hope it's a whole bunch of Reggie Jackson, because it won't even seem like it.
It's 9 minutes of Reggie Jackson homer highlights.
Just home runs.
I knew he was on this year. I didn't know that we were up to it already.
Mike, I am now listen, I am a Phillies fan. There has been a change here, but as a kid, Reggie Jackson was my hero. I used to eat the Reggie candy bars. I went to see him play in 1979. Catfish Hunter's last game as a Yankee. He hit a home run. Not Catfish, but Reggie. I had a giant poster on my wall. My absolute baseball idol.
Do you know if he plays himself?
I don't.
So I'm curious. So we have not had an athlete yet, right? Not counting Kathy Lee Crosby, who was a retired athlete. I don't think we've had an actual
I don't think we've had
active athlete.
This might be the first one. I figured we'd get like Jenner.
And I think we'll get Kareem.
Yeah.
I think you have to think about it. We'll get LA-based people because it's easiest, right?
That's true. That makes sense. I'd be shocked to see like a Jim Brown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's an actor at this point. So
he's an actor at this point. Who knows?
An active athlete will be interesting, especially as we have no idea when they shoot these things. But I wonder if it's him as Reggie Jackson.
Oh, I hope so.
I wonder, because I feel like Reggie Jackson can act on this show. He's a good.
If you ask Reggie Jackson, he'll tell you he can act on any show.
Exactly.
I'll tell you right now.
But I wonder how many ham-fisted baseball references we get. And if it is Reggie Jackson playing Reggie Jackson.
Was Billy Martin on here too? Is he going to sock him?
Isaac is from Oakland.
There is a tie-in between the two characters.
So there you go. Is there anything else next week, or are we just going to talk about the Reggie Jackson parts?
I got so sucked into the Reggie. I didn't even care what was on other than the Reggie Jackson.
Great.
Just give me 90 minutes of number 44. Gosh,
don't call your shot like you did with Bob Denver.
I'm just happy that our episode 44 includes the great number 44. It's amazing.
It's almost like we did that on purpose, which we definitely did not.
See? No, we definitely did not. This whole thing is just to get to episode 44 for Reggie Jackson episode.
No, then we're done.
Then we're done.
Not true. We are in it for the long run, especially now that we have that sound effect at the beginning. That'll do it for episode 43, which did not have a sports jersey number tie-in.
Unfortunately.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone, for listening to our first episode of 2025. We only have 7 more new episodes after this, and then the stubbies, and then we'll be done season 2. It feels like we just started. And as Mike mentioned on the last episode, if you have any category suggestions for the stubbies, get them in now. We're probably going to lock the ballots here in a few weeks, but always willing to take your thoughts on this season and maybe some new awards that we can slap together. Maybe best real life athlete, so you can get Reggie Jackson on the
award. I would love to hand deliver his stubby. Here you go, Mr. Jackson.
We don't even have
what the hell is this?
Stubby.
Yeah, it's a piece of paper. It just has stubby, and you spelled it wrong.
It's Phil Silver's bronze head.
Thank you for the Stubby. Who are you? No, it's
Now I have a
Stubby.
question. I have an on-air question that we didn't talk about. Are you
What's
gonna
that?
play the horn on the way out too?
No.
No? Okay.
The ship's not departing.
Gotcha. Just
We're
wanna
in port
make
now.
sure. All right.
Yeah.
Well, then we're done. On to the silence. Thanks
I
everybody
mean,
for listening.
unless you want Horn
I don't know. What do you think?
to end the ship.
I mean, we
All right,
shouldn't
let's
just
give him
have
a little horn.
silence.
Let's give him a little horn.
All right. So
And
let
that
me just
way,
wrap up. Yeah. All right. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Mike. As we finished up on episode 43, we'll see you next time for episode 44. Thanks everybody for listening.
I don't have the horn queued up. Next week.